are likely aimed at Israel to the extent that we haven't seen yet. That certainly is a matter of some concern here. Israel is clearly prepared for that, but the military plans of Israel continue as before.
Yeah. Besides, there are still questions unanswered. Thank you so much, Sanjay, for joining us with all those details. Stay safe. We hope to keep reconnecting with you. Always a pleasure. Do remember, amidst this comment that's coming from the Iranian President Pezeshkian, there is no clarification as yet on whether or not Iran will still keep going after US assets stationed or located in the Middle East. What does he mean when he says that Iran will no longer target any of these Gulf nations unless they plan to attack Iran first? So a little bit of a loophole there in terms of clarity and how this is going to play out, and whether or not all of the Revolutionary Guard was also taken into confidence as he made that promise to the rest of the Middle East. Speaking of which, let's talk about more visuals that we have accessed. The latest satellite images of Iran's response in the Middle East. The AFP infographic suggests what kind of damage, and these are satellite images showing the damage at 4 US military sites or sites hosting US personnel in the Middle East in the context of Iranian strikes since the 28th of February. So we have these 4 visuals, satellite images that pretty much explain the picture. Starting 1st of March, that's the base in Bahrain. Another 1st of March was visual of another US base in the Middle East. This is 3rd of March. Qatar, the warning radar has sustained significant damage, as you see, has been circled in this image as well. And of course, on the 5th of March in Saudi Arabia, the Prince Sultan base, the kind of damage that Iran has managed to inflict on this US military base. I do want to bring in Siddhant Mishra into the studio. Siddhant, if you can quickly join us here, tell us what we're seeing here. Now, these are satellite images, and the narrative war we've been discussing is on in full swing. Yeah. If IDF is putting out proof after proof of the damages that missile launchers in Iran have seen, then this is what Iran is doing on its own part. So 1st of March, 2 images of what the situation looked like of these US military assets, and then one from 3rd and 5th. What do you make of this overall? And the extent of damage, I think, is the bigger story here.
That's right. So it's very important for Iran to also prove a point that they are not only surviving in this battle, Kritsween, they also want to send this message out to the world that they are equally capable of hitting at US assets, bases in the region, diplomatic missions in the region. And perhaps by putting these pictures out, satellite images out, I guess AFP has published these satellite images. The point they want to prove is that they are against the United States in the region, and this is the reason that these bases are being targeted. Now, base in Manama, Bahrain, 1st March, fully destroyed. And these are the 2 pictures which we are putting out. Yeah.
So this is a significant explosion. It's a loud explosion, correct, clearly going by these satellite visuals.
And the second, Kuwait.
A little bit of damage, yeah, multiple explosions.
Yeah, multiple explosions. There are 3 sites which have been circled in this picture. So 3 places inside the premises was hit. Then this is the 3rd one, warning radar Qatar. So the other day, Kritsween, in fact, we were discussing that how the first step in any warfare is to bring down the communications and radar systems of the enemy. And Iran understands this very well. And this is the reason that, in fact, 2 days back, the satellite images which we had put out for our viewers, and that also the radar systems, communication systems were hit by Iran. And this is the 2nd time when you see this warning radar Qatar, March 3rd. I will ask my producer to put this again. Yes. So this is warning radar Qatar, March 3rd. So again, the radar systems in Qatar have been hit. And the same is the case with Prince Sultan base in Saudi Arabia. The picture is from 5th of March. So the communication systems have been hit. They've been targeted. These communications are the backbone of the air defense systems, if I talk in the military language. And that is exactly what Iran... So it means that Iran is not... because many are saying that Iran has gone rogue.
Our munitions, yeah. The United States now ensuring that the missile launchers, Iran's missile launchers, almost come down to nil, because otherwise this is going to keep happening. And we've seen the kind of damages that some of these US military assets have already suffered. Thank you so much, Siddhant, for joining us with those with that analysis. I do want to bring in our defense expert into the conversation as well. Major General K.K. Sinha is with us on the broadcast. Very good afternoon to you, sir. Always a pleasure. General Sinha, to first talk about, before we get into the military aspect of things and where do things stand as of today, it's week 2 of the ongoing conflict. There's a big comment that's coming from the Iranian president. Mr. Pezeshkian has said sorry to all of Middle East, because remember, unfortunately, the Gulf nations have also been drawn into this as a result of some of these US military bases located in that part of the region. He says, we will not target you unless you attack us. Do you buy that, sir, especially given the hold that the Revolutionary Guard has in Iran, even over the leadership, including Mr. Pezeshkian?
Good afternoon, and Jai Hind. Yeah, this statement by Pezeshkian, that, our neighbors are, we are not targeting them. I think to a certain extent they are right. They are actually targeting the military bases over there, whether it is Kuwait, whether it is Bahrain, whether it is Qatar, whether it is UAE, or in Saudi Arabia, even in Jordan. And you go in Iraq, the way they have gone to the bases. And the damages, that is actually, if you see the damages that will just come up, which is important. Hitting radar station with $1 billion worth of it, eyes and ear in this, that has been hit. And that has been hit by, in a low-lying, your missile, which is probably, I think, Fateh they have used. Think hard. Hard is a system which, it is not easy to, and this is a terminal high altitude, AD system. That has been hit. One has hit in Jordan.
Yeah. The Third battery has been destroyed there.
Yeah, destroyed. So Jordan is a distance, it is very near to the Israel. If they have reached over there, other Third batteries are generally in the Persian Gulf. In the Persian Gulf, you can say the range is less and they have got, wherewithal, which they can hit with accuracy. So that, I'm surprised. If they achieve this type of thing, they can do. And they have got the fire control with them. The way they are going, they are, rationing it, they are doing it. They are not going in an all-out way where there is the fire they open it is up to the commanders on the ground. But they are going very systematically. They are, escalating. They are every, first 7 days, E+7, every one country was added. So they have got some plan. I think they prepared for 20 years for this. They have war games. They must be on rears. And that's what is coming down, because no, control is coming from a higher directions war. Now,
besides, when they were advancing their nuclear enrichment program, possibly they saw this coming. Sooner or later, this was something that they would have to face and fight, and that's exactly where things stand as of today. Though we've seen Iran also in a relatively vulnerable position. For how long they're going to continue doing this, and for how long will the rest of the world be shown the proof of how the United States and Israel are as much suffering damages, to a smaller extent possibly, but yes, indeed, the damage is both sides. That's all we could pack for you for now. We head into a very quick break. News and updates continue when we return. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Serve, and I was assigned to be part of the Air Force, and I was doing airplanes controlling, and for that we needed to go through a long course with a lot of requirements, and it was quite challenging. But we were 18 years old, after school straight away to go through all of that, and then serving for 2 years.
So a good deal of the civilian population is, in an essential sense, the military population. But it's not just military exposure and training this is about. A great deal of Israel's strength lies in an ability to hold together, defending under siege. The glue that holds people together is a passionate, personally held belief in Israel. Nationalism here is not a state of mind, it's a matter of survival.
You're born a soldier. You have to protect your country. This is a country under war, okay? So everybody feels very emotion about Jerusalem, you know, Tel Aviv, all the cities around Israel that is very attached to us, and we care about each other.
When you're raised and you see wars around you, and you understand we're a very small country, not many citizens. I mean, we're 10 million, that's it. So when you're raised seeing that what we're going through and what our parents had to go through, so it's like a fact. We don't really sit and think, should I, shouldn't I? It's something that is happening. So there is no even hesitation, because that's our country. And if we're not going to protect it,
So
we don't have other choice.
So everybody must do the army. It's otherwise, how can we survive with so many enemies around us? So we volunteer, we want to do it, we want to help our country and want to make us stronger, want to be safe and feel in a safe community. We want to have a good life, and with the help of Trump, we'll be able to do it.
Israelis are in a difficult place together. One way to deal with that, with the difficulty, is the spirit, high spirits, not necessarily dance on the streets, so there's that.
Viewers, hello and welcome to this special edition. The war has extended into week 2. The Iranians are showing no signs of letting up. The Israeli and American campaign seems to be stuck in a war of attrition, in a battle of attrition. Many people are thinking that this could lead to another situation like the Russians found themselves in Ukraine, a war without end. That itself, of course, is a debate, because everyone has an opinion on whether the Russians are actually stuck or they're making progress, and many people believe that the debate will continue, even when it comes to this particular conflict. The other big questions that are being posed are by US allies and partners, increasingly restive, increasingly depleted, finding that perhaps the costs of war are not what they anticipated. And if this does turn into a cost-prohibitive conflict, where do they stand? Have they been sucked into someone else's war? Was Trump prepared? Did he actually game theory the outcomes? Did the United States anticipate the pushback from an Iranian regime that is hell-bent on surviving? And what after? These are some questions that are being asked of the Americans, but that doesn't stop us from asking these questions of our panelists. And I'm joined by some splendid guests this afternoon. I have Tatiana Kukureva, who's a senior Russian journalist and an expert on foreign affairs who comments very often, and you've seen her on our shows here at CNN News 18. We also have with us Derek Grossman, professor of international relations at the University of Southern California, who I hope will hold up the American end of this conversation. And we have with us Patrick Kugil, Chief Analyst of the Polish Institute of International Affairs. Thank you very much, all of you. Let me start first with Tatiana Kukureva, because I know that she will set up this debate. Tatiana, do you agree that perhaps the Trump regime did not see the consequences of their actions, or that they don't really have an end game in mind?
Absolutely not, Rahul. And first of all, let me comment on hearing the words American and regime on the same sentence. You know, even if it's a Trump regime, still, you know, music to my ears in some ways, more ways than one. But also, you know, we know that this campaign was months in the making. We can be sure of that. I mean, both Donald Trump and actually Benjamin Netanyahu has said that, you know, well, we decided on the phone. Of course not. I mean, campaigns like this take months to prepare. We saw American ships pull out from the Gulf, you know, so we know they were preparing. We also know that, we can assume I'm sure. We don't know because, you know, it's difficult to know with Iran. But we can assume safely that Iran had been preparing for this. You know, we're seeing a response, and it doesn't look like just, you know, a barrage of uncoordinated attacks. They're very, it feels like there is a strategy to what they're doing. And also, again, assuming that that was some sort of a spur-of-the-moment thing, it kind of is based on the idea that Donald Trump is extremely impulsive, which he's not really, not if you listen to what he's actually saying. And there's also the Israeli side. You know, having lived in Israel, having worked with the Israelis, you know, there's a very clear, and we had the privilege of listening to Israel's foreign minister yesterday. There's a very clear message that they're sending, and it's once you sift through the surface level of the narrative being that, you know, we are doing the effort, but the regime change has to come from Iranian people. At first, it kind of, it looks logical because we're talking about democracy and all things good, but essentially that absolves Israel from any sort of responsibility for the said endgame, which means that they're not looking for a regime change really. From the Israeli standpoint, you know, and they do perceive that as an existential threat.
Right.
It's more about weakening Iran, not even the government, not even the regime, if you will. It's about weakening them, pushing back the effort to obtain a nuclear weapon, because when you live in this war kind of mentality, which Israel does since its inception, because it's been at war with, or rather its neighbors have been at war with it, you know, it depends on which side you're looking from. You do not think like 10 years ahead, 20 years ahead. It is about pushing back the work on the nuclear weapon. For the American side, and I'm not sure if my fellow panelists will agree, I think it is about the money.
It's about money.
Absolutely.
Okay. What are the objectives then?
Well, thanks for having me, and it's very unfortunate that we have to have this conversation. The objectives are very unclear. I can sit here right now and give you at least 10 different potential objectives, and none of them would necessarily make sense.
So let's list them.
Well, I could list a bunch of them. So, okay.
Academic exercise.
So one of them is regime change, right? So Trump was unhappy about the protesters being executed and warned the Iranian regime not to execute anymore. Otherwise, the U.S. would respond. And he said very publicly, I have your back, to the protesters, right? So that's, and you know, he hasn't really had their backs as far as we could tell. All right, so that's one explanation. Another is oil. We saw that during the Venezuela operation in January, that we got our oil back, right? Well, we know Iran pumps a lot of oil. That oil is under sanction. I think President Trump would like to have that oil in our inventory so that gas prices will go down even further.
So that's Tatiana's
exactly
money
Okay,
point.
so that's
Okay.
that's
Part
part
of
of
it,
that's
yeah.
part of money, right? Another reason I think is because after kidnapping Maduro in Venezuela, Trump had some momentum, had some pep in his step. Well, I could use the military to do all sorts of things. Maybe I should use it even more, right? It's winning begets winning in a way, right? Another aspect of this is Trump always chickens out. Taco, I'm sure you've heard that.
Right,
Everyone's
yes,
heard
we
that.
have, we have, yeah.
And
Yes, we
so
have.
in order to build an anti-taco narrative, sometimes you actually have to push that little red button. So,
God, no,
you know,
not the red button yet.
and we haven't even talked about the
Are you saying he's so impulsive that he would fall for, or his ego is so big that it would be bruised by an acronym?
Oh, absolutely.
four-letter acronym.
100%. 100%. I mean, if all you have to do is watch them in one day, and you can tell, or 1 hour, or even just a few minutes, and you can see that everything is highly personalistic, everything is a personal slight. And I mean, we haven't even talked about the Israeli angle
So Derek,
yet.
there is nothing redeeming about this campaign. Is that what you're suggesting? I mean, there must be something.
Well,
I mean, he must have a beating and bleeding heart. He must love the Iranian people that he wants to save from these absolute, oppressors.
Well, so
authoritarian ayatollahs.
when you look at the second Trump administration's foreign policy over the last year or so, the idea of supporting values worldwide has been totally tossed out the window. We are now not in the business at all of supporting democracy, freedom, liberty, human rights, any of that stuff.
But were we ever?
Well, no. Was the United States ever? Was that what you? I think
No,
we were
the
at certain
world.
times.
I mean, all the powers. It's not as if. I mean, look. You can have the veneer of enlightened diplomacy, but at the end of the day, when you really peel back the patina, you see the naked motives. I don't believe anyone has intervened anywhere in the world in defense of really strong values, to be honest. Maybe in the Second World War you could make that point, but I didn't see the Americans leaping out till Pearl Harbor happened.
Well, I think we.
So-
I think we at least used to talk about values as something that was important to us, but also important to, and now you're going to hate me when I say this, the liberal rules-based international order. I know here in India, not a popular topic, right? Did this rules-based order or liberal rules-based order ever exist? We can have that debate. But after the end of World War II, the United States, Great Britain, and the Soviets decided that yes, there is going to be a rules-based order, right? And so that has been completely shattered. If it hadn't already had a lot of cracks in it prior to Trump, now it is shattered, right? And it's just kind of a new paradigm. And oh, by the way, I didn't even mention trying to get Iran to stop enriching uranium, stockpiling uranium, to get it to eliminate its ballistic missile arsenal. All of these things are additional potential objectives, right, in going to war with Iran. And frankly, with so many objectives out there, right, it's really hard to make heads or tails of anything. And so my assessment of it is that it's too muddled to really work in any way.
That is not the point of view that I was expecting, but I respect it. At the end of the day, that's his point of view. Patrick, do you believe that this particular activity that is being conducted, I don't know what to call it, because look, no one wants a repressive regime that exports terror around, let's be honest. But I don't quite believe that someone else from outside should have the right to decide. So let's for a moment assume what Tatiana was saying, that this was at the outset an attempt to try and weakening the regime in Tehran so that the people could find expression and do the needful. If you were to narrow it down to that particular objective, are we close to that objective 1 week into the war? Maybe it's too early, I don't know.
No, not at all. Yeah? And if history is any teacher at all, we know that that kind of regime change from abroad and democracy support has never delivered desired outcomes. Yeah? We have been through this in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Libya, in Syria, and we actually must agree with a long-held Indian position on this, that democracy cannot be imposed from outside. It must be a homegrown process, yeah? And it should have been left to Iranians to select the leader. Maybe there are some other options how you can support pro-democracy movements and etc. But using bombs to liberate people is probably too far. And then in this sense, I might add one element to the list Derek made already. There's this geopolitical competition with China and with Russia. Yeah? So after taking out Maduro in Venezuela, Iran was easy next target. So this is maybe also about the weakening of this axis of Russia and China. First of all, to stop supply of oil to Iran, to eliminate a kind of ally and friend for China in the region. So this is probably one, if we can go away from this personalistic, egoistic motives and reasons, and we can try to find any strategic reason behind this war, that maybe can be another perspective through which we can look at this. And we just need to remember that this war was long in the making. I can agree with Tatiana, but even extended much further. During the first tenure term of the Trump presidency, he was already quite close to decide on that some kind of intervention in Iran. Yeah? There was in 2018 or 17 or 19 even. I also remembered also Poland hosted a conference on Iran in Warsaw, which actually did not went as planned for the American administration. But there was some kind of preparations in the way. But then Trump's presidency ended. He did not realize this. He tried his long-term goal to take care of Iran, if we can put it this way. And last year we had a 12 days war. Probably it was still business unfinished. It was like first intervention in Iraq in 1990. Victorious for the US, but they did not take away Saddam Hussein, and then they came back in 2003. So this Iran case is probably one of the unfinished businesses for US, and democracy building, I believe, is not the main reason, because we know it is not working this way.
Well, it's interesting because you sort of focused on the money angle, but there are many people who say, as Patrick was saying, that this could be a slingshot at trying to starve the Chinese of energy. And by extension, you have the Russians impacted too, because you're going to have an important source of geopolitical balance taken out. So do you see that actually impacting China in a way that is going to make China desperate, and by extension the United States, Russia?
Well, I think first of all we're a long way from desperate. If I'm not mistaken, the Americans have just admitted that they have no means, for instance, to repel the Shahed drones. So Iran has several things up its sleeve. And we go back to even the discussion of whether the US has enough missiles to actually prolong it to an extent where, because it has to be a serious impact for China to get desperate. So that remains, I'm afraid, to be seen. Especially in terms of the military capabilities, because for now, from a narrative standpoint, we have come to a situation, and it's very clear. It was very clear when the special military operation in Ukraine started, but it is more so clear now, because from the media standpoint, we've come to a war of slogans from both sides. If you look at the reports from side by side, from the Iranian side, from, for instance, the Israeli side, they contradict each other completely.
Right.
It is a war of slogans. So there is literally no source of information that would actually be verifiable. Specifically with Iran, because first thing they did, closed off the internet. We don't have the numbers. We don't know what's happening. We have a bunch of experts, specifically coming from the opposition, who they grew up in the West, who claim to know something that they cannot technically know because they haven't been in Iran for years.
So we don't even know how much stockpile they have, of what they have, and where they have it. And
I mean,
so
with
and
all
so
due
forth.
respect to the Israeli, intelligence, we heard in June last year, we heard that Iran is on its knees. We hit all of the facilities. But the facilities, the very next week, they showed us, didn't show us the facilities, obviously, but the facilities were up and running.
No, so hang on. Let me come back to the question, because many people are alluding to this theory that China is the end point. Now, we know that Trump is going to be meeting the Chinese president very soon, and that's a slated meeting. And he wants to go there with something on the table, some leverage. Is that really why Iran has been knocked about?
That might be a leverage because you know as well as we all do, you know, that Donald Trump negotiates in a very specific way. You know, we've seen it, his negotiations with Prime Minister Modi shocked the entire nation, I believe. But to argue my previous point, I genuinely believe that everything he's done so far is about the money. Even considering his negotiations with India, you know, he eased up on the sanctions on buying Russian oil. So you're not sponsoring the war anymore, you know.
Yeah, for at least
suddenly,
a month.
yes, because the objective, it was never about Ukrainian children. It was just as much as I believe genuinely he doesn't care about the protesters, because his concern is, and it should be, the American people. He wanted to sell American oil to India. He got his wish. He then wanted more oil. We all know how he got that wish. Now, what do we see with the oil prices? And guess which country doesn't necessarily in that respect use the Strait of Hormuz and has a large, you know, resource of oil that it just so happened to obtain this year by very special means, and that would benefit from it, you know.
Okay, so Derek Grossman, this gentleman, Donald Trump, has decided that he's going to take down the world. I mean, if you were to extend that hypothesis, then everyone suffers. At what point do they turn around and say enough, or can they?
Who's they?
That's right.
Okay.
You know, you're looking at Europe, you're looking at the EU, you're looking at perhaps countries like India, you're looking at China, you're looking at Russia, you're looking at several other countries, South Korea. Its markets are hemorrhaging. You're looking at the Gulf partners. Amazon facilities there have been targeted. Their oil is stacked up in cargo ships that aren't moving through the straits. And there's a possibility of they being constantly attacked over the next years altogether in acts of reprisal, which could be random but terrifying enough that their economies that are built on now a diffused future, not reliant on oil, suffer. So is a pushback going to come, or is America completely immune from all of this? They firewall themselves, they have their energy. Where does this go? I mean, is Trump out of control?
Yeah, so I think that pushback is already afoot, both internationally and domestically. Now, whether it will work, that is a different question to answer. But right now, internationally, you see China expressing very deep concern about not just Venezuela, but now Iran. I actually think that there is not an insignificant chance that China cancels the Trump's visit to Beijing later this month. They know that he desperately wants a visit, not just to negotiate, but for personalistic reasons, right? To show that he is a strong man sitting alongside Xi Jinping as a fellow strongman. And I think they're going to consider that possibility depending on what happens over the next few weeks. We've also seen the Russians now openly supporting Iran. We see Iran standing up for itself and saying we're prepared for a ground invasion. We see the Europeans taking on more of their own self-defense. The French, for example, are now going to have some of their military aircraft deployed with nuclear weapons aboard, so less dependent on the United States. India is in the process of negotiating with China. There's a thaw in the relationship, clearly. Some of this precedes Trump with the land border negotiations, but I think Trump winning the election and wrecking the relationship with India over the last summer hastened that development, that trend, right? So I think you're already seeing some international pushback, but at the end of the day, it's the domestic pushback that's really going to matter. So we saw the Supreme Court ruling on February 20th that overturned the constitutionality of Trump's reciprocal tariffs as a blanket tariff. So he can still do some other things, right? He can do 15% tariffs blanket tariffs up to 180 days. He can do sectoral tariffs, things like that.
Sure.
But his power is much diminished now when it comes to tariffs. We see Congress taking votes on whether to limit the president's ability to wage war without a declaration of war from Congress. The 2 votes failed, no doubt, but by slim, very narrow majorities. So when you consider the midterm elections that are on the horizon this November, if the Democrats are to win one or both chambers of Congress, that can dramatically change the situation. You also see the MAGA base starting to fray, because MAGA is all about not just make America great again or America first, but not being led by the nose by other countries, right? And not getting into foreign wars, forever wars, those sorts of things. And Trump is walking right into that. My understanding is there are folks
I'm
within,
reading commentary that a lot of people are saying that Israel is sort of leading Trump up the garden path and so on and so forth, sort of suggesting that he knows no better and he's getting fooled by Benjamin Netanyahu. Is that what you're talking about?
I think there's, that's the latest case, and probably the most prominent case. But the idea that the president is spending a lot or even most of his time on foreign policy in and of itself is an affront to the MAGA base, who think that he should only be focused on domestic policy and helping the working class that voted him into office, right? So, and why is he doing that? Because the president, and it's not just Trump, but traditionally, the U.S. president has had wide latitude on foreign policy and national security, and they don't really answer to anybody unless Congress stands up or the people stand up. There's a process that needs to take place in order for the restraints to come on, right? But in the meantime, the president can basically have a free hand on foreign policy, at least between now and the midterm. So I think what you're going to see is an intensification of that free hand. So what I'm telling you here, Raul and everybody, is that it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Okay, that's okay. That's something that one doesn't want to hear. How worse can it get if you agree with him? How bad can it get before it gets better?
First of all, let me...
I mean, what could really go more wrong than it already is?
Always it can go worse, but maybe I'm more optimistic. Yeah? I think Trump can finish this war every day. They realized a lot of its objectives. So
okay, so you're saying that the off-ramp is... Okay,
yeah.
so let me ask you this question. I've got 5 minutes on the show. Let me go around the table. I'm going to ask you, where do you see this war headed? Is it going to end anytime soon?
First, I would like to recall an article, excellent article by Raja Mohan, excellent strategist, Indian strategist, in Foreign Affairs recently, titled, I think, The Illusion of Multipolarity. And he claims that we are still living in the unipolar world. And shortly speaking, Donald Trump is doing this because he can, and this is probably another explanation. So as long as he will be allowed to do this, he can continue along this path. There is a very easy off-ramp from this. Trump just needs to save a face. He can declare victory. He attained some military objectives of the action. We've heard that radars and missile launchers are destroyed. So maybe that could be an excuse to declare the victory and go back to take care about the American voters. So I think we do not need to go further along this line. A lot will depend on the behavior of its allies in the Middle East, but also Europe has a role to play. Unfortunately, for now, Europe is kind of divided on this very issue, but it's leaning towards more assertive position towards the US. We would like to also to hear more clear position from India that is also not risking the wrath of Donald Trump at this very delicate moment. But I do hope that even living in the unipolar world, it matters what other countries has to say, and we as a friends of the United States, I think Europeans has a role to play, to somehow
pull him back from,
to help make peace in this very strategic region of the world.
Okay, what about you? Final comments on where this is going, and will it end soon?
I do agree on the fact that he can end it anytime soon. And I think that with Trump, it's all about the perspective, it's all about the perception. So whenever the real objective, and I don't buy the regime change objective for a second, because we've seen America sponsor revolutions. We specifically in Moscow have seen America sponsor revolutions very close to home. We know how it's done. They know how it's done. They know we know. But at the same time, you know, as soon as he can portray this, just as has been said, you know, we've had objectives, we've hit, you know, the ballistic missile program is years behind, the nuclear facilities are damaged. Whether we'll, you know that it's not true, that's another story. I do believe that it also has to do with midterms. I think that he's going down a very familiar route, you know, and he's sort of kind of saber rattling and showing him in a position of a strong man kind of solidifies the support. And also, should America benefit from the current fluctuations of the energetic market, that would also ensure that the same working class actually gets somehow the support that it awaits from the president. In the meantime, you know, the one thing I would disagree on is the notion about unipolarity, and this is, I think, very important. I think that as we step away from this binary perspective that, you know, something is right and another thing is wrong, because it genuinely doesn't exist in the real world, the Indian position is actually very clear, and it's a very strong one. We don't need to take a side.
Okay.
Not every day. Some things you just need to watch unfold.
Derek?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that was already said. I mean, Trump can end this war tomorrow, today, if he wants to. The question that I have, though, is, I mean, the law of unintended consequences, right? I mean, are there certain things that can't be put back into place because of the ill will and the destruction that's been wrought over the last few days? That's possible, but I think when you look at the signaling from the Iranians, they're ready to call it quits, so long as the U.S. and the Israelis stop the aggression toward them, right? And I think the Chinese and the Russians are advocating for that, and I think India is advocating for that, and most of the world is advocating for that. So I don't want to make this sound like a nice, neat little war, because it may not be, but I think over the next week or so, we could easily see a back to status quo ante.
Well, thank you, everybody. We've run out of time. We've had an engaging conversation, and we didn't know where time went. So I'll leave it at this. I'm closing without comment. It's for you, viewers, to figure it out for yourselves. Thank you very much for watching.
Serve, and I was assigned to be part of the Air Force, and I was doing airplanes controlling, and for that we needed to go through a long course with a lot of requirements, and it was quite challenging, but you know, we were 18 years old, after school straight away to go through all of that, and then serving for 2 years.
So a good deal of the civilian population is, in a sense, in an essential sense, the military population. But it's not just military exposure and training this is about. A great deal of Israel's strength lies in an ability to hold together, defending under siege. The glue that holds people together is a passionate, personally held belief in Israel. nationalism here is not a state of mind, it's a matter of survival.
You're born a soldier. You have to protect your country. This is a country under war, okay? So everybody feels very emotion about Jerusalem, you know, Tel Aviv, all the cities around Israel that is very attached to us, and we care about each other.
When you're raised and you see wars around you and you understand we're a very small country, not many citizens. I mean, we're 10 million, that's it. So when you're raised seeing that what we're going through and what our parents had to go through, so it's like a fact. We don't really sit and think, should I, shouldn't I? It's something that is happening. So there is no even hesitation because that's our country. And if we're not going to protect it,
So
we don't have other choice.
So everybody must do the army. It's otherwise, how can we survive with so many enemies around us? So we volunteer, we want to do it. We want to help our country and want to make us stronger, want to be safe and feel in a safe community. We want to have a good life, and with the help of Trump, we'll be able to do it.
Israelis are in a difficult place together. One way to deal with that, with the difficulty, is the spirit, high spirits. Not necessarily dance on the streets, so there's that too, as we've seen, but just bonding, laughing together. And there's nothing quite like the bomb shelter for that. And here we are in the shelter. The siren has just gone off and everyone's walked in here very quietly and very quickly, I have to say. And amongst us all here is a visitor from India, Anamika. What brings you here at a time like this?
Namaste. Well, I'm here because yesterday there was a run. There was a marathon in Tel Aviv and we wanted to participate and I came here for that. And decided to stay.
And you find yourself on the run in ways unexpected.
Yes, so yesterday was a planned run. Today we are running to the shelters. So yes, it is unexpected.
And is this your first visit to Israel?
Yes, it is my first visit. I'm loving it. Yeah.
Even here in the shelter?
The shelter is one of the experiences. If you look around, you will see the people are super friendly. They're prepared. They're keeping the mood up. They're very positive. We know that this is for a very good reason that this is happening. So it's not just for just because they're having a war. So we are in a good positive space of mind, which I love about this.
Welcome back to CNN News 18. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, here's the latest that we're bringing for you right now. Ahead of the Bengal elections, West Bengal Chief Minister speaks to News 18. Mamata Banerjee attacks the BJP and the Election Commission over the SIR process, saying, and I'm quoting here, the Election Commission of India is not following the guidelines of the Supreme Court of India. This time, only 6 lakh new voters have been added. How can the number be so low? Also going ahead to think that the BJP, to say that the BJP thinks that by deleting 1 crore voters, they will win. Let me tell you, even BJP voters will not vote for them this time. So sharp attacks by Mamata Banerjee ahead of the Bengal elections. This is what we're getting for you right now. They've deleted minority votes, but they've also removed voters from communities. And our next target is to capture Delhi. This is what Mamata Banerjee is saying. Let's listen to this.
এবারে মাত্র 6 লক্ষ জমা পড়লো কি করে আমি জানি না, কোনো কারসাজি আছে কিনা ইয়াং জেনারেশনকে ভোট দিতে দেবে না বলে। এবং সেখান থেকেও যখন ফাইনাল লিস্টটা বেরোলো, যদিও সাপ্লিমেন্টারি এখনও আছে অ্যাজ পার সুপ্রিম কোর্ট ভার্ডিক্ট, দিস ইজ অ্যাবসলিউটলি রং নোটিশ। এটা সুপ্রিম কোর্টকে ভায়োলেট করা হয়েছে অ্যাজ পার গাইডলাইন্স। কিন্তু সেখানে 6 লক্ষও যেটা ফর্ম দেখিয়েছিল তার থেকে আগে, তার থেকেও 4.5 লক্ষ বাদ দিয়ে দিয়েছে। অর্থাৎ ওদের নিউ জেনারেশন চাই না, মার্জিনাল কমনার্স চাই না, ফার্মার্স যারা খেতে চাষ করছিল চাষের সময় তাদেরও বাদ দিয়েছে, পরিযায়ী শ্রমিকদেরও বাদ দিয়েছে, মাইনরিটিসদের বাদ দিয়েছে, তপশিলীদের বাদ দিয়েছে, মতুয়াদের বাদ দিয়েছে, রাজবংশীদের বাদ দিয়েছে, হিন্দিভাষীদেরও বাদ দিয়েছে। বাংলায় বিশেষ করে যদি আপনি আমাকে একটা জেলা বলি, মালদা জেলা, ওখানে আগে কয়েক লাখ, তারপরে 7 লক্ষ,
8 লক্ষর কাছাকাছি।
এবং যেখানে যাদের 2002-এ নাম ছিল, তার বাবা মায়ের, তাদের ডকুমেন্ট আছে, এভরি ডকুমেন্টস জমা দেবার পরেও যখন ইয়ারোরা ফাইনাল করলো, তারপরেও দিল্লি থেকে বসে বিজেপির কথায় এই ভ্যানিশ কুমার, যিনি আগামী দিন হবে ফিনিশ কুমার, তিনি অবভিয়াসলি ফর পলিটিক্যাল রিজন, আর কত চাই আমি জানি না, তার তো সবাই আইপিএস নয়, আইএস নয়, ডিএম নয়, এসপি নয়, আইআরএস, পুরো সংসারটাকে গুছিয়ে নিয়েছে। নিয়ে বিজেপি বলেছিল যে কথা, যে 1,30,00,000 থেকে 1,50,00,000 বাদ দেবো, 1,30,35 লক্ষ লোককে বাদ দিয়েছে এবং লিস্টটা তৈরি করেছে, আমি গ্যারেন্টি নিয়ে বলছি, বিজেপি পার্টি অফিস। তাহলে বিএলওরা যে কাজ করলেন, বাড়ি বাড়ি ঘুরলেন, বয়স্ক ভদ্র মহিলারা স্ট্রেচারে করে গেলেন, 7 ঘন্টা 8 ঘন্টা লাইন দিলেন, মানুষ একদিন কাজ কামাই করলেন, 7-8 ঘন্টার লাইন দিলেন, যা যা ডকুমেন্ট চেয়েছিল জমা দিলেন, তা সত্ত্বেও তাদের নাম, হোয়াট ইজ কল লজিস্টিক্যাল ডিসক্রিপেন্সি? ইজ ইট এ মিসক্রিপেন্সি, bias miscreancy? I don't say it is a logistical discrepancy, because এটা কিরম ভাবে বাদ গেছে। ধরুন আমার নাম মমতা, বাংলায় ম তো একার, ইস নরেন্দ্র মোদী আর অমিত শাহ, and BJP is anti-women and ভ্যানিশ কুমার অলসো। বিজেপির ভোটাররাও এবার বিজেপিকে ভোট দেবে না, তাদের অত্যাচার তারা দেখে নিয়েছে। আপনারা বললেন প্রত্যাবর্তনের লড়াই, ওটা দিল্লির প্রত্যাবর্তনের লড়াই, আমাদের নয়। দিল্লিটা দখল করব নেক্সট, এটাই আমার টার্গেট।
2029,
2026-এও চলে যেতে পারে।
All right, so this is the latest that we have on that sharp attacks by Mamata Banerjee against SIR, also speaking against the BJP and the Election Commission, saying that how is it possible that the number is so low this time at only 6 lakh new voters who've been added. For more on this, we have Kamalika Sen-Gupta with us. Kamalika, attacks continue by Mamata Banerjee. What can you tell us?
Exclusive interview that he has given that Mamata Banerjee has given to Imriti Bangla. Clearly, her attack was on BJP, but clearly the attack was also on the Election Commission. She attacked the Election Commission, and several times she has stated that by mentioning Gyanesh Kumar as Vanish Kumar, and not only that, she has alleged that the entire list that has come out, the SIR list that has come out, the deletion that has taken place, she has alleged that the Election Commission has come out with this list at the behest of BJP. Election Commission is working on the behest of BJP. They are working as the BJP party office. Not only that, she has also challenged that this time she is 100% sure that she will win the election, and her next target is Delhi. Not only that, she has also spoken on the Epstein files, and she has said that she has a lot of knowledge about that, and she's going to come up with that too. So clearly, Mamata Banerjee is trying to make SIR an issue. Right now, we'd like to again show you, we are in that dharna when Mamata Banerjee is in a dharna. For the last one day, she is sitting here in this dharna with all party MPs and MLAs. And remember, when Gyanesh Kumar with the entire bench will be coming tomorrow, Mamata Banerjee still plans to sit there. Her allegation is against Trinamool Congress. So in this interview, she has totally attacked the BJP, and she has said that this time she is going to actually capture Delhi. But on the other hand, she has clearly put her attack on the Election Commission.
Right, absolutely, Kamalika. When we talk about these attacks, now these aren't new. These are especially on expected lines. When we talk about the crowd that you're showing to us there, if you could give us a sense of what the consensus on ground is and how her allegations are being received by the people.
See, obviously, there was voters, 7 crore, 66 lakh voters were there, and after the final roll, right now the total number of voters is 7 crore, 4 lakh something. So the thing is that deletion is still now is only 62 lakhs, still now. Now another 61, near about 61 lakh is in that logical discrepancy where there are certain doubts in that list. So that is there with the judiciary. The judiciary is examining that. The matter is sub judice. So this is the present status, that 62 deleted plus 61. See, the people, the BJP is saying that whom are Mamata Banerjee sitting for? Mamata Banerjee is sitting for the infiltrators and for the Ghuspetia. That's what the BJP is saying. On the other hand, Mamata Banerjee is trying to show, and this is what, this is the place where she is trying to show that, see, the valid voters have also been deleted. So clearly when there is an anti-incumbency, where there is an anti-incumbency of 15 years, when there is a corruption allegation, where there is definitely demographic change allegation that has been leveled by the BJP, Mamata Banerjee is trying to play out on the SIR issue, and she is trying to project that common people's name has been deleted. But the BJP is saying that no common people's name have been deleted, and the Election Commission has also said that whatever they are doing it, they have done it in the transparent way, and now everything is up to the court.
Right, absolutely. Now, when we talk about this is going to be a crucial election year for Bengal nonetheless, when we talk about the issues that are going to resonate with the voters, I wanted to understand if you could give us and our viewers, for the benefit of our viewers, a better sense of how this is resonating with the people, because these claims and counterclaims will continue, Kamalika. But what are the people really looking for this time?
See, common people, the mood is definitely, when the ballot boxes will be open, then the common mood will be known, definitely. But it is, this has to be taken into consideration that there is a 15 years of anti-incumbency which Mamata Banerjee has to fight. This has to be taken into consideration that there is huge demographic change which is affecting the common people. There is also another issue of definitely corruption. Corruption has always been an issue with the Trinamool Congress, and this time BJP is doing Parivartan Yatra. They are going door to door. They are doing very micro campaigning this time. So BJP has also put in full force, and their main motive is that whoever are infiltrators, they should go. Now that how the common man reacts to that, that is to be seen, because the government is anti-incumbent. I mean, 15 years of anti-incumbency is there.
All right. Well, Kamalika, stay on with us. We'll once again play out what Mamata Banerjee is asserting here for our viewers. Listen to this exclusive.
এবারে মাত্র 6 লক্ষ জমা পড়লো কি করে আমি জানি না, কোনো কারসাজি আছে কিনা ইয়াং জেনারেশনকে ভোট দিতে দেবে না বলে। এবং সেখান থেকেও যখন ফাইনাল লিস্টটা বেরোলো, যদিও সাপ্লিমেন্টারি এখনো আছে অ্যাজ পার সুপ্রিম কোর্ট ভার্ডিক্ট, দিস ইজ অ্যাবসলিউটলি রং নোটিশ। এটা সুপ্রিম কোর্টকে ভায়োলেট করা হয়েছে অ্যাজ পার গাইডলাইন্স। কিন্তু সেখানে 6 লক্ষ যেটা ফর্ম দেখিয়েছিল তার থেকে আগে, তার থেকেও 4.5 লক্ষ বাদ দিয়ে দিয়েছে। অর্থাৎ ওদের নিউ জেনারেশন চাই না, মার্জিনাল কমনার্স চাই না, ফার্মার্স যারা খেতে চাষ করছিল চাষের সময় তাদেরও বাদ দিয়েছে, পরিযায়ী শ্রমিকদেরও বাদ দিয়েছে, মাইনরিটিসদের বাদ দিয়েছে, তপশিলীদের বাদ দিয়েছে, মতুয়াদের বাদ দিয়েছে, রাজবংশীদের বাদ দিয়েছে, হিন্দিভাষীদেরও বাদ দিয়েছে। বাংলায় বিশেষ করে যদি আপনাকে একটা জেলা বলি, মালদা জেলা, ওখানে আগে কয়েক লাখ, তারপরে 7 লক্ষ,
8 লক্ষর কাছাকাছি। এবং
যেখানে যাদের 2002-এ নাম ছিল, তার বাবা মায়ের, তাদের ডকুমেন্ট আছে, এভরি ডকুমেন্টস জমা দেবার পরেও যখন ইয়ার ওরা ফাইনাল করলো, তারপরেও দিল্লি থেকে বসে বিজেপির কথায় এই ভ্যানিশ কুমার, যিনি আগামী দিন হবে ফিনিশ কুমার, তিনি অবভিয়াসলি ফর পলিটিক্যাল রিজন, আর কত চাই আমি জানি না, তার তো সবাই আইপিএস নয়, আইএস নয়, ডিএম নয়, এসপি নয়, আইআরএস, পুরো সংসারটাকে গুছিয়ে নিয়েছে।
Moving on then, politics breaking out over LPG price hike. Congress is posting on platform X saying the Modi government has increased the price of domestic LPG cylinders by 60 rupees. Meanwhile, you will now have to pay 115 rupees more for commercial LPG cylinders. In the last 3 months, the price of commercial LPG cylinders has increased by 307 rupees. Narendra Modi is continuously wielding the hammer of inflation on the public. So there is a storm over LPG prices here. For more on this, we have Pallavi Ghosh live with us. Pallavi, thank you so much for joining me. What can you tell us?
But hey, we have to wait to see what is the official response which comes in from the government to this little increase in the price of the LPG. But certainly politics is all broken out, because since yesterday the government sources have been telling us that we have enough reserves and there's no need to panic, there's no need to hoard, and the people also should not be worried about any alarming rise as far as the consumer prices of these products like petrol, diesel or LPG or LNG is concerned. So we are waiting to see what government has to offer by way of explanation. Because you know what happens is, hey, when these kind of prices increase, they have a rippling effect. It's of course upsets the budget of the consumers. It also has a rippling effect as far as the commercial establishments are concerned. And that is something which could be a cause for worry. In fact, yesterday's economic review also predicted that there could be a current account deficit if the war continued for a very, very long time. But having said that, hey, certainly for the opposition parties on the eve of the parliament session, this is a huge issue on which they're going to attack the government, saying that you are planting information, you're falsely reassuring the people, whereas prices are increasing.
Right, Pallavi, absolutely. In light of what we're seeing in the global uncertainty as well, even though we have a buffer for about 40 to 50 days, we're given to understand, as you mentioned also, the opposition is definitely going to use this to its advantage going forward.
Oh, yes, absolutely. From Monday onwards, Parliament begins, and for the Parliament, it's going to be a huge, huge issue which the opposition parties are going to make. They're already attacking the government for what they call a faulty foreign policy, buckling under American pressure, despite the reassurances coming in from the government that we have alternative sources or alternative routes. There's nothing to worry about. But this increase in LPG certainly is going to give rise to more ammunition.
All right, Pallavi, thank you so much for giving us a better sense of what we're looking at here. We're also getting many reactions which are pouring in. Let's just listen to this.
देखिए, जिस प्रोपोर्शन में प्राइस इन्फ्लेशन इंडेक्स को यदि हम ध्यान में दें, तो उसके मुकाबले जो वृद्धि हुई है वो बहुत नॉमिनल वृद्धि है। हम सब जानते हैं कि अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्थिति क्या है और एनर्जी के प्राइसेस पूरे दुनिया में बढ़ रहे हैं। उस कारण से हमारा प्राइस इंडेक्स, जितना इन्फ्लेशन का इंडेक्स बढ़ रहा है, उसकी तुलना में यदि इसको देखेंगे तो ये वृद्धि नगण्य है। इससे कोई बहुत अधिक अंतर पड़ेगा ऐसा मुझे नहीं लगता। और ये विपक्ष का तो काम केवल शोर मचाना है, और विपक्ष बिना मतलब का शोर मचा रहा है।
All right, viewers, also remember the kind of ruckus that we had seen in the Parliament session earlier. Now, the opposition is on a war path against Lok Sabha Speaker. We're given to understand TMC will extend its support to the no confidence motion against Lok. Earlier, they did not take a position, nor did they sign the no confidence notice, but we're given to understand that the TMC will extend its support to the no confidence motion. Remember, to remove the speaker, 50% majority is needed in Lok Sabha. For more on this, we have Payal with us. Payal, what can you tell us?
Very interesting what the TMC has really done, because, you know, in the first part of the budget session, when that entire argument was taking place, the TMC stood out of the opposition and said that we have to allow the House to function. We need to speak on crucial matters and we cannot let the government go away as well. So Abhishek Banerjee led as far as the TMC was really concerned. But after the recess, when the session resumes again on Monday, and that is when, you know, the issue of the removal of the no confidence motion regarding Home Bill is to be taken up, TMC has now decided that they will be extending support to that motion. So they have not signed the letter that is required to be signed, which was signed by multiple opposition members. But TMC has now said that they will also be supporting this as well. It's a very crucial resolution that is going to be probably brought in on Monday. That's the reason various political parties on the ruling side, whether it is Shiv Sena, whether it is TDP or the BJP, they've all issued whip to the party members. Interesting, we can see what it turns out on Monday, because 50% of that is required to in fact remove the Lok Sabha speaker because he's a member of the House.
All right, Payal, thank you so much for bringing us the latest on this. Now, with that, we're going to slip into a very short break, but do stay tuned. News and updates will continue on the other side on CNN News 18.
Serve, and I was assigned to be part of the Air Force, and I was doing airplanes controlling, and for that we needed to go through a long course with a lot of requirements, and it was quite challenging. But you know, we were 18 years old after school straight away to go through all of that, and then serving for 2 years.
So a good deal of the civilian population is, in a sense, in an essential sense, the military population. But it's not just military exposure and training this is about. A great deal of Israel's strength lies in an ability to hold together, defending under siege. The glue that holds people together is a passionate, personally held belief in Israel. Nationalism here is not a state of mind, it's a matter of survival.
You're born a soldier. You have to protect your country. This is a country under war, okay? So everybody feels very emotion about Jerusalem, you know, Tel Aviv, all the cities around Israel that is very attached to us, and we care about each other.
When you're raised and you see wars around you, and you understand we're a very small country, not many citizens. I mean, we're 10 million, that's it. So when you're raised seeing that what we're going through and what our parents had to go through, so it's like a fact. We don't really sit and think, should I, shouldn't I? It's something that is happening. So there is no even hesitation, because that's our country. And if we're not going to protect it, so we don't have other choice.
So everybody must do the army. It's otherwise, how can we survive with so many enemies around us? So we volunteer, we want to do it, we want to help our country and want to make us stronger, want to be safe and feel in a safe community. We want to have a good life, and with the help of Trump, we'll be able to do it.
Israelis are in a difficult place together. One way to deal with that, with the difficulty, is the spirit, high spirits. Not necessarily dance on the streets, so there's that too, as we've seen, but just bonding, laughing together. And there's nothing quite like the bomb shelter for that. And here we are in the shelter. The siren has just gone off and everyone's walked in here very quietly and very quickly, I have to say. And amongst us all here is a visitor from India, Anamika. What brings you here at a time like this?
Namaste. Well, I'm here because yesterday there was a run. There was a marathon in Tel Aviv and we wanted to participate, and I came here for that and decided to stay.
And you find yourself on the run in ways unexpected.
Yes, so yesterday was a planned run. Today we are running to the shelters, so yes, it is unexpected.
And is this your first visit to Israel?
Yes.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. Here's the latest that we're getting for you right now. In a rare occasion, President Murmu has expressed sheer displeasure over the behavior of Mamata government. His permission was denied for the International Adivasi Conclave in North Bengal, where the president was the chief guest today. So this is the latest that's coming in, where the president, Draupadi Murmu, has expressed sheer displeasure over the behavior of the Mamata Banerjee government. Let's listen to this.
लेकिन जगह दिलवाने का कोई नहीं, यहाँ तो इतने पर्याप्त है, तो मुझे पता नहीं लेकिन मैं भी बंगाल का ही बेटी हूँ। बंगाल में बहुत क्यों आने ही नहीं देते। ममता दीदी मेरे बहन भी है, छोटे बहन है, पता नहीं मुझे कोई गुस्सा किए होंगे, इसीलिए वहाँ जाके प्रोग्राम करा। कोई बात नहीं, कोई गिला नहीं, कोई शिकवा नहीं, लेकिन वो भी आवाज रहे, आप लोग ठीक रहे। थैंक यू।
All right, for more on this, we have Payal with us. Payal, what a sad state of affairs, isn't it, to be pushed to announce her displeasure in such a manner, that to the President of India?
You know, Draupadi Murmu, the way she has conducted herself as a president has been exemplary. She's into her 4th year of her service, and you have never seen her make any political comments. She stayed away from that and generally has been very, very cordial with a lot of people. But something must have really irked her a lot, the way it's really gone. She was in North Bengal. It was the responsibility of the state government to provide her the required protocol. She's a Adivasi herself, and she wanted to participate in the Adivasi conclave, which is not allowed. So therefore, she's coming out and she's naming Mamata Banerjee, saying that she's like a younger sister to me. Why would you want to do something like that? Why would you cite space constraint? The fact remains that there's enough space over here. At the same time, she's saying, I hope better sense prevails, and Mamata Banerjee is being wished well by the President of India. But huge controversy in the brewing, given the fact that none other than the President of India has had to face this inconvenience, and it should have ideally been the job of the state government to extend that basic courtesy to her. And like I said, rarest of rare occasion when Draupadi Murmu has made any political comment. She's somebody who's always stayed clear of these politics. But you know, she's forced away because she's not being allowed to meet the tribal brothers and sisters, and she is also from the same community.
Right, Payal. Of course, let's just once again listen into that reaction.
बोल के, लेकिन जगह दिलवाने का कोई नहीं, यहाँ तो इतने पर्याप्त है, तो मुझे पता नहीं, लेकिन मैं भी बंगाल का ही बेटी हूँ, बंगाल में बहुत क्यों आने ही नहीं देते। ममता दीदी मेरे बहन भी है, छोटे बहन है, पता नहीं मुझे कोई गुस्सा किए होंगे, इसीलिए वहाँ जाके प्रोग्राम करा। कोई बात नहीं, कोई गिला नहीं, कोई शिकवा नहीं, लेकिन वो भी आवाज रहे, आप लोग ठीक रहे। थैंक यू।
Let me just come back to you on this. Of course, there we can hear the president say perhaps it must have been some mistake, or she must be angry over something that I don't know. But koi gila nahi, koi shikwa nahi. Of course, Payal, what does this reflect really?
This actually reflects as to why Mamata Banerjee has constantly had run-ins with everybody. She's had run-ins with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Remember, when he had come in to examine the situation after these, after a huge, a flood situation, and on another occasion after the situation concerning cyclone. Even then, Mamata Banerjee and her team had walked out of the meeting, leaving the Prime Minister there on his own to decide how things had to be done. In the past, we've seen how she's behaved with the Home Minister, denying permission to his rallies and all. All of that we understand are political reasons. But you know, the President of India, the first citizen of India, she's not from any political party. Whenever you occupy a constitutional position, you demit the office that you're occupying as a politician as well. So that is something which is very, very, very uncalled for. And the Draupadi Murmu, the president over there, saying that I don't know why Mamata is angered against me, what angered her. She should have ideally allowed me to hold this gathering over here because there's enough space for everybody to really come. So she's expressing her sorrow. And like I said, that, it actually tells you what kind of pain, Draupadi Murmu would have really felt for her to name Mamata Banerjee and say that she's like my younger sister. I'm really appalled to see what really angered her and why this situation really arises as well. It is very rare of the President of India, Draupadi Murmu, to even come out and say so much and say in this fashion. Remember not to forget that she comes in from the tribal community and she wanted to participate in the tribal program, which she thought would be organized by the state government, but that state government did not organize and did not get her permission and did not get the required protocol. She's the first citizen of the country and no less.
Right. All right. Well, Payal, thank you so much for bringing us the latest on that as well. We'll, of course, continue to track all developments coming in. With that, we're going to slip into a very short break, but don't go anywhere. News and updates continue on the other side on CNN News 18.
Serve, and I was assigned to be part of the Air Force, and I was doing airplanes controlling, and for that we needed to go through a long course with a lot of requirements, and it was quite challenging. But, you know, we were 18 years old, after school, straight away to go through all of that, and then serving for 2 years.
So a good deal of the civilian population is, in a sense, in an essential sense, the military population. But it's not just military exposure and training this is about. A great deal of Israel's strength lies in an ability to hold together, defending under siege. The glue that holds people together is a passionate, personally held belief in Israel. Nationalism here is not a state of mind, it's a matter of survival.
You're born a soldier. You have to protect your country. This is a country under war, okay? So everybody feels very emotional about Jerusalem, you know, Tel Aviv, all the cities around Israel that is very attached to us, and we care about each other.
When you're raised and you see wars around you, and you understand we're a very small country, not many citizens. I mean, we're 10 million, that's it. So when you're raised seeing that what we're going through and what our parents had to go through, so it's like a fact. We don't really sit and think, should I, shouldn't I? It's something that is happening. So there is no even hesitation because that's our country. And if we're not going to protect it, so we don't have other choice.
So everybody must do the army. It's otherwise, how can we survive with so many enemies around us? So we volunteer, we want to do it, we want to help our country and want to make us stronger, want to be safe and feel in a safe community. We want to have a good life, and with the help of Trump, we'll be able to do it.
Israelis are in a difficult place together. One way to deal with that, with the difficulty, is the spirit, high spirits. Not necessarily dance on the streets, so there's that too, as we've seen, but just bonding, laughing together. And there's nothing quite like the bomb shelter for that.
And here we are in the shelter. The siren has just gone off and everyone's walked in here very quietly and very quickly, I have to say. And amongst us all here is a visitor from India, Anamika. What brings you here at a time like this?
Namaste. Well, I'm here because yesterday there was a run. There was a marathon in Tel Aviv and we wanted to participate and I came here for that. And decided to stay.
And you find yourself on the run in ways unexpected.
Yes, so yesterday was a planned run. Today we are running to the...
Right. On day 7 of the conflict, intense military exchanges continue between Iran and the US-Israel coalition with escalating regional impact. Iran is launching fresh waves of missile and drone strikes at Israeli territory and US bases in Gulf states, triggering alerts and interceptions in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait and Qatar. Israeli forces are responding with air operations, including strikes on Hezbollah targets in Lebanon. In the Gulf, Iran's Revolutionary Guards reportedly struck a US oil tanker in the northern Gulf, causing fire damage. Gulf states continue to tighten air defenses and scanning routines amid ongoing threats. Pentagon leadership asserting US-Israeli forces are gaining control of Iran's air defenses and missile networks, although Iran persists in low volume yet sustained strikes across multiple countries. They have gone into quasi-guerrilla mode. Let's go straight across to our guests and understand from them their perception of this fight, this fury in the Gulf, and how long do they believe this is going to last. Sitting right next to me is Eric Solheim, President Europe Asia Center and former Under Secretary General of the UN and former Minister of Norway. He is with us in the studio. Eric, thank you very much. Next to him is Gianni Vernetti, former Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs of Italy. Thank you so much. Wael Awad, the familiar face, senior journalist with us. Thank you very much. And Jeffrey Van Orden, Vice President, New Direction, the Foundation for European Reform, former leader of the British Conservatives in European Parliament, former chairman, European Parliament Delegation for Relations with India, the United Kingdom, and distinguished fellow, Gold Institute. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Let's start from the far corner. Jeff, do you see this ending any soon, or is it going to just increase the headache globally?
No, it's got to end soon. I would imagine that there are talks going on discreetly at this moment. It's difficult to see at this stage what sort of government will replace the mullahs, but the mullahs need to go. That's very clear. Probably some sort in order to give the Iranian people sufficient time to organize for democracy. Democracy is not something that's going to come overnight.
Regime change, the mullahs need to go, is the US-Israeli position, while about the Iranians believe regime continuation by any form is victory for them. How do you see this?
Well, I don't see it as finishing very fast, because definitely the Iranians have prepared for this kind of an attack by the United States and Israel. Having said that, I would say that they already knew that this attack going to happen anytime. And besides, they are already causing damage and they are causing pain for both of them, despite the fact that the United States may be going for another alternative kind of attack on Iran to make sure that they calm down and to succumb to the pressure of the United States. But however, there is no sign on the air that they are going to do it soon. And the longer the war continue, the more the American will be in trouble, and the Israelis as well, because Iran is geopolitically a very important country to deal with. And secondly, it's not a small country like Iraq or like Libya or Venezuela. It's a country with the power to reckon with.
Right. Gianni, your thoughts? Europe seems to be in two minds about this whole conflict. Some nations have endorsed support. Other nations have said, we don't want this war. How do you see this?
I see that Iran, during the, let's say, 3 decades, posed an existential threat to the state of Israel, systematically export terrorism and instability, promoting and supporting Hezbollah, Hamas, Houthi insurgencies around the Middle East. So it was an agent of chaos for many, many years. And I think that regime change is a possibility on the table, and it's expected. It's not an easy task. It needs time. As said before, democracy cannot arrive overnight. But I really convinced, I really think that this confrontation will not stand for long, because I think that it should be a short military operation.
The Iranians like the long haul. They're in it for the long haul. They like a scrappy fight. Trump is not someone who's got the stomach for a long fight. Eric, where is the world seeing this go, and is this going to perhaps create a certain amount of flux economically also, along with perhaps redefining world order?
Look, if there is one lesson from history, is that it's very, very, very easy to start a war and very difficult to end it.
Right.
I mean, you think George W. Bush would have gone into 20 years of war in Afghanistan if he had the choice in 2001? You think he would have started a war in Iraq if he had known that it would last for 10 years?
Right.
Of course, no. And Trump, I think, has no plan. The United States is totally dominant in military terms. It can wipe out every asset in Iran, everything.
Yeah.
But it's very weak in political terms. It has no mechanism to force a regime change. Regime change in history has never, ever happened from the air. But if he's lucky, a new and better regime could come up. There's no different view on that. I mean, this regime in Iran has not been flexible, not been pragmatic, been very ideological, and created a lot of international chaos, but he has no mechanism to replace it with something better. So most likely it will go on, and exactly because the Iranian government is brutal, it has a very high pain level.
Yeah.
It will be able to take a lot of pain without giving in.
Without giving in. Please don't wait for me to ask questions. Please jump in with your thoughts. It's a conversation, not a Q&A. Yes, Jeff.
Yeah, well, I disagree that Iran has the capacity for a long conflict. They don't. Their capabilities have been seriously eroded already. They have no means of defending the airspace over Iran. We're seeing now a serious degrading of their ability to carry out missile and drone attacks. So I don't think they have the stomach for a long conflict, and I think you will find elements now in the Iranian armed forces that will very rapidly seek to bring about a change.
You think it'll come? Yes, sir.
I mean, the best possible outcome would be a less ideological, less extremist Iranian government, maybe run by some people from the Revolutionary Guards or from the military. democracy is just a dream. It can never happen in this form.
Right.
But we must remember also that this attack by Israel and the United States and Iran is against any global norm.
Absolutely.
And it's very dangerous. It's also totally undermining the European position, which is, the Russian attack on Ukraine was illegitimate.
Yeah.
And then always, maybe it's, the United States is allowed to attack Venezuela and Iran. This is absolute hypocrisy, and it completely undermines the European standing in the world, which should be that we oppose all attacks on foreign nations, whether Russia do it or the United States of America.
And by the way, I think that the people of Iran is tired of this regime. Remember, just a few weeks ago, there was an uprising all around in the cities, in Tehran, but also in the small villages all around the country. And there was very harsh repression. It's assessed by 30,000 young people dead in the street. So people is tired. The minorities, they were very much oppressed. Think about the Kurds, think about the Azeri, the Baluchi. So the different ethnic minorities in Iran were very much oppressed during that time. So I think, of course, it's not easy, but there are chances that there is a positive democratic transition. It will take time, it will be a tough issue, but I think this regime is more and more weak, and especially from within, not just from the external attack. So I'm quite optimistic on that.
My take here is, are we legitimizing this war? The war is already illegal. It's against UN Charter. It's against any law in the world.
Yeah.
We have to agree on that. The second part, who appointed the United States as the policeman to attack any countries? Whether they can take Libya, they can take Afghanistan, they took Iraq, they're taking Venezuela, tomorrow Greenland, Algeria, Nigeria, name it. I mean, we need to understand, as a human being, this country have been surviving with an elected government by the people of Iran. They have a supreme religious leader. You went to the country saying that they have an illegal military thinking of nuclear programs. When you and a nuclear, undeclared nuclear state, go and attack them. I mean, I need to be logically understand, if I belong to that region of the West Asia and the Middle East, I want to understand who gave you the leverage or the liberty of attacking another
who gave Ayatollah Khamenei to say death to Israel, death to Jews?
This is 1953. No, it was American there. They were the American there. No, we know it. It's not a question. You see, Israel said they wanted to throw a bomb in Gaza. Does it make that sense also? They said, let's throw a nuclear bomb. Rhetoric is always said by everybody.
No, not rhetoric. Absolute action. Absolutely. October 7. Did Iran not hail October 7? Why did Iran hail? Why did they back October 7?
I tell you, this is our wrong reading of history. Yeah. Every European understands the fight in the Middle East because of the creation of Israel at the cost of the Palestinian. The two-state solution was there. Where is the Palestinian state? The whole fight is taking place in occupied territories.
Yeah,
and that is your legitimate right to defend your territory.
For that, creation of Hezbollah is okay, creation of Hamas is okay, creation of the Houthis is okay. All of that came from the Iranians?
No. So creation of Hezbollah is because of Israeli occupation of south of Lebanon, 1982.
Okay, Eric Solon wants to say something.
I think we can have two thoughts at the same time.
Yeah.
One thought is we go into the law of the jungle if every major power is free to attack a smaller nation. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Right.
There are many rough states in the world. And Israel is one of them. I will not advocate that anyone should attack Israel because of all the atrocities Israel has done. Netanyahu is indicted for the International Criminal Court. Still, we should not attack Israel. And nor should we attack Iran, even if we despise the government there. It's possible to both be upholding global principles and being opposed to the government of Iran. But unfortunately, this is likely to be much longer than people think. And then it will have huge ruptures. Trump may give in because the gasoline price will hit him in the upcoming elections in November in the United States. We do not know. What we do know from history is that I can think of 1 or 2 wars in all of human history who was shorter who those who started the war believed they would be. Nearly all wars are much longer, much more bloody, much more protracted, and are difficult to end.
Well, the only war or conflict in recent times that ended in less than 90 hours was Operation Sindoor. But
exactly,
there the political objectives were very clear.
That is a stand-alone example of a wise leader, Narendra Modi, understanding we need to make a case, but we also need to stop the war. That's not the rule of global diplomacy. It's exactly the opposite.
No, does it not stem from a clear political objective, Jeffrey? Here, is there a clear political objective? Because every day the goalpost seems to be changing. One day it's regime change, next day it's ballistic missiles, third day it's nuclear. Now it's back to a regime that is palatable to me, and I get to choose.
Well, I think the clear political objective is to remove Iran as the source of terrorism and trouble in the Middle East and beyond the Middle East. That is the objective. Now, it's multi-layered, the solution to that. Yes, we must prevent them having a nuclear capability. Yes, you need to release the oppression of the Iranian people and get rid of this mullah regime. Give the Iranian people a chance to breathe, and we need to stop all this intervention in other countries. We've heard about Hezbollah, Hamas, Houthis. These are all Iranian creations. They are Iranian creations, and not only that, we've seen terrorism around the world sponsored by the Iranians. They are a menace with this regime. The Iranian people are desperate for freedom. They're a great people. It's a wonderful country. They need to have the opportunity to breathe again, and the women get off these veils and to be able to live their lives. That's what we all want in our countries. We want a better life for future generations. We want children to have good educations. We want people to be happy and prosperous. In all countries, we want that.
Right.
You can't do it with these oppressive regimes.
Yeah. I'm just asking you this.
Yeah.
This entire invasion by the US, Israel, and the bombing and this war, taking it, an outsider coming in, will this, even within the domestic fraternity, bring them all under the flag, despite them not liking the regime? That's one part. The other thing is, there is a sizable Shia population across the world in various countries, even in Europe. There will be a certain resentment and anger simmering in. Now, how does society and how does the world deal with this? Is this going to spawn more radical entities, or is there a peaceful alternative to this?
I think that the issue within Islam is not just anymore the confrontation between Shia and Sunni, but within the Shia community and within the Sunni community, there is a confrontation between two different views, and advanced, innovative, and modern views of Islam, fully compatible with democracy and what we really think is necessary, and other conservative views within both communities. So I'm not sure that the Shia community in Iraq or in other country will follow the Iranian regime in its systematic export of instability and terrorism. I may add something. A few days ago, President Zelensky said that during 4 years of the large-scale invasion of Russia in Ukraine, 57,000 drones, Iranian drones, were launched by the Russians towards the Ukrainian cities, towards Ukrainian civilians. So Iran is an agent of chaos, is exporting instability far beyond the Middle East. So and that's, I think, is a crucial point.
Is Iran an agent of chaos, or has it taken an anti-America position? So whoever backs America, America's friend is my enemy, and whoever is America's enemy is my friend. Is that the position the Iranian regime took, or would you want to agree with Gianni here?
Look, the arguments we hear for this invasion is exactly the same argument we heard for the need for the West to stand 20 years in Afghanistan. I mean, that invasion was there was good reasons to do it in the early days, but it lasted for 20 years with enormous suffering for the Afghans.
Right.
It's exactly the same arguments we heard for the invasion of Iraq. I mean, Saddam Hussein was an enormous threat to the entire world, we were told, and he wasn't. And we have seen the suffering, and also in the United States. And now you struggle to find the one American who is in favor of the invasion of Iraq. At the time, 95% supported. This invasion is not even supported by the majority of Americans, and it's highly unlikely to achieve the result. The result which the two gentlemen here argue is that the world will be better off with a new government in Iran. But what's the space for people in Iran who oppose the government under the attack of the United States to go out in the street and do something?
Correct.
Trump even told the Iranian people, you should stay at home when I bomb you. Well, how can any regime change happen on the ground in...
because they wait for the bombing to end, we will clear the passage for you. Or did they miss the window? When the January uprising was happening on the streets, should the outside intervention have happened then? Or have two events happen at disparate times, and that's why they are not
We should
synced?
accept that there are limits to foreign interference. If you don't like a government, and there are many governments in the world I don't like, leave it to the people of that nation to change their government. If you try to do it from outside, in nearly all cases you fail. There are a few examples, but nearly all American regime change operations in the last 70 years have failed. Many of them spectacularly hit back towards the United States, as the gentleman said. And the attack on the Iranian Prime Minister in the 1950s spectacularly was as a boomerang hit the United States. So why involve yourself in all these regime change operations when history tells us it's much more likely to fail than to succeed?
I'm just asking you this, did Trump have this in his head, even in his first term, that there are 5 rogue nations and I need to sort them out for stability? Venezuela needed to be sorted, and because of the Chinese influence, and China is the main adversary. Iran needed to be sorted because of China's investment in Iran, so much so that the technology transferred to the level to which their ballistic missiles program, it's all been helped and designed by the Chinese. That's the level of involvement. So is that the larger game, that let me take out the rogue elements that have been planted who got Chinese and Russian support one by one and reduce it to 1 or 2 rogues only and remove the rest? Is there any logic in Trump taking this line and then approaching Iran?
I'm not sure if this logic is within Trump's mind, but by the way, that's for sure there is a growing confrontation in the world between autocracies and democracies. If you think about the very strict coordination between China, Iran, and Russia on many different issues. And as you said, China was the most important purchaser of oil from Venezuela and Iran, and both under sanction. And China transferred technologies to Iran that was, with this technology, Iran was able to build a ballistic missiles program. And it's difficult to deny that the ballistic missiles program, together with the legal nuclear program, poses an existential threat to the state of Israel. You said before, October 7th, that does not came out for nothing.
There is fundamental issue here, is that when the United States started the policy of regime change by force, we all saw throughout the 3 decades of this policy being followed up. Whether it's in Iran also, 1953, Mossadegh prime minister, the democratically elected was removed by the American, the CIA and the MI5 and even the Mossad. And then they brought the Shah. That's okay. If you want to bring democracy, you do not have to attack a religious leader, of a supreme leader, of sentiment among the Shia community in the world. This is one. The second part, you're attacking a school, you're killing 160 children between the age of 10 and 12, and you people asking the President Trump, did you attack a school? He said what they were doing on Saturday. I mean, there is no difference whether the children died or no. It's for him that Saturday school is open. So what I'm trying to say, regime change, President Trump himself, he himself criticized his predecessor.
Killing of the 170 odd children is tragic. But those 30,000 protesters who were shot dead point blank.
How you know 30,000 protesters?
So,
we know.
Even if there were 3,000 protesters who were shot down point blank, how can you broad brush that?
I'm
how
not
can
saying
you just justify
this is
that?
the largest demonstration in Iran since 2006. I have been following it.
The religious leader issues a fatwa with a clock tower saying 2027. 8,000 ballistic missiles and death of Israel. We're going to wipe out Israel, and it's celebrated out there with his sanction.
Israel, Ben Gurion said the Arab want to throw us to the sea, and then he said it, and we adopted.
What is the doctrine of the Hamas? Wipe out the Jews, kill all Israel. Wipe out all Jews. Death to Israel, kill all Jews. That's the doctrine of the Hamas. What did the Khomeini declare after the 12-day war happened? 8,000 ballistic missiles, and 2027 I want to wipe out Israel. Why did he say that if his intent was not there to try and do? See, moment you have this kind of a position, I will wipe you out or you will wipe me out, and everybody worries, if I don't wipe him out, he will wipe me out, there will always be conflict. Yes, Jeff.
I think any sensible people recognise that there's got to be an accord with Israel and recognition of the right of the state. No, but the recognition of the right of the state of Israel to exist by all the countries in the region. We saw with the Abraham Accords a real movement in that direction. Saudi Arabia was on the point of signing up to the Abraham Accords, and that is what triggered the Iran-sponsored Hamas attack on Israel on October the 23rd. So Iran wants to ensure that chaos and catastrophe continues in all of those areas.
But do we justify the killing of 67,000 Palestinians and buried 20,000 underground?
It's not about justifying. It's about who wants peace, actually. Which entity wants peace? Eric, we've got 5 minutes. That's all. So we'll just focus on the Strait of Hormuz problem also after you make your point. Yes, Eric.
I think we need to go back to what is global recognized laws which are enshrined in the UN Charter, which says you cannot attack another nation, even if you don't like the leader of that nation. And it's fair that people didn't like Mr. Khamenei because many of the accusations
What about Russia's attack on the Ukraine? What did the United Nations do about that?
Which is, of course, completely illegal. And we need to condemn both the Russian attack on Ukraine as well as Israeli attacks on Gaza, as well as the US attack on Iran. If we don't do that, there's no any laws left longer in the world, and it's a law of the jungle, and any nation which is bigger than the other can freely attack that nation with any excuse.
Yeah, because China can attack Taiwan.
But just one comment about China.
Yeah.
Because China has a very different approach to the US. By the way, China has the same approach as India, which is they work with whoever is in government everywhere. Both China and India have worked very well with the Khamenei government of Iran, but they will work very well with the new government also, because they don't interfere in the internal affairs. If a new government of Iran comes forward and work with the international community, China will be very happy. They work with the new government of Venezuela and import oil from there, because China's interest is not in who is running a nation. China's and India's interest is international trade, good global relations, not to portray one leader for another nation.
I have to say, it's a travesty to say that Israel attacked Gaza. Hamas attacked Israel. Israel then responded. Israel moved out of Gaza in 2005. They forcibly removed Israeli settlers. They handed Gaza over to the Palestinians. And what happened? Within days, there were rocket attacks from Gaza into Israel. That is the problem.
The attack has never stopped ever since the Israeli withdrawal from the Gaza Strip. Never.
See, my point is, every time you're going to say you did wrong, the other side is going to say you did wrong. Where's the solution to this? Right now, all of our countries are going to suffer because the Strait of Hormuz is blocked.
Yes.
There's no trade, there's no commerce, there's no economics. Both sides are going to, no side has,
So that brings me to the answer of your questions, that the United States is fighting two wars in the region. One is a global war. It's a conflict of interest with the superpower. They wanted to control the Strait of Hormuz. There is a Red Sea, the Mediterranean. So the global trade is affected and impacted. European and China and India and the rest of the world affect. And the second part, this is our narrative, what we understand. It's not the conspiracy theory, that Israel dominance in the region is to be prevail economically, militarily, and
the Gulf countries are afraid of Iranians. The Muslim nations themselves, the OIC itself has not come out and backed Iran.
And the Gulf countries made the right choice with the Abraham Accords. That solution is peace. Solution is dialogue. And when United Arab Emirates and Bahrain decided to sign a peace deal with Israel, with the Abraham Accords, made a great choice because they bet on peace.
Why you have to go for a new sort of religion when you can implement what you have?
The Abraham Accords were supposed to be signed by all nations to bring stability. Exactly. Who disrupted it?
We always want
That's a question.
We
Jeff,
don't have a problem
Jeff,
with the Jew.
Jeff to your left and Gianni to your right have
Iran
asked
is
this
that.
question.
I have already.
Exactly.
Final word, Eric, we're going to wind this up.
Saudi Arabia refused to sign
Saudi
it.
Arabia
They were going to sign it, and then suddenly you have this whole attack on Israel and so on.
Not even Saudi Arabia agreed to the Abraham Accord because they wanted Israel out of Gaza before they were ready to do something like that. But let's agree with the last comment from our Italian friend here. What is needed is a dialogue to resolve the core issues here and to stop the world moving into the law of the jungle. That will be very dangerous for India and for everyone else.
Absolutely. Fair point that the gentlemen here make. Let's hope the wise men have spoken and wisdom prevails overall. We need peace and not conflict all around us. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us here on this broadcast and sharing your thoughts with us. Thank you. Thank you.
Serve, and I was assigned to be part of the Air Force, and I was doing airplanes controlling, and for that we needed to go through a long course with a lot of requirements, and it was quite challenging. But you know, we were 18 years old after school straight away to go through all of that, and then serving for 2 years.
So a good deal of the civilian population is, in a sense, in an essential sense, the military population. But it's not just military exposure and training this is about. A great deal of Israel's strength lies in an ability to hold together, defending under siege. The glue that holds people together is a passionate, personally held belief in Israel. Nationalism here is not a state of mind, it's a matter of survival.
You're born a soldier. You have to protect your country. This is a country under war, okay? So everybody feels very emotion about Jerusalem, you know, Tel Aviv, all the cities around Israel that is very attached to us, and we care about each other.
When you're raised and you see wars around you, and you understand we're a very small country, not many citizens. I mean, we're 10 million, that's it. So when you're raised seeing that what we're going through and what our parents had to go through, so it's like a fact. We don't really sit and think, should I, shouldn't I? It's something that is happening. So there is no even hesitation because that's our country. And if we're not going to protect it, so we don't have other choice.
So everybody must do the army. It's otherwise, how can we survive with so many enemies around us? So we volunteer, we want to do it, we want to help our country and want to make us stronger, want to be safe and feel in a safe community. We want to have a good life, and with the help of Trump, we'll be able to do it.
Israelis are in a difficult place together. One way to deal with that, with the difficulty, is the spirit, high spirits. Not necessarily dance on the streets, so there's that too, as we've seen, but just bonding, laughing together. And there's nothing quite like the bomb shelter for that.
And here we are in the shelter. The siren has just gone off and everyone's walked in here very quietly and very quickly, I have to say. And amongst us all here is a visitor from India, Anamika. What brings you here at a time like this?
Namaste. Well, I'm here because yesterday there was a run. There was a marathon in Tel Aviv and we wanted to participate and I came here for that and decided to stay.
And you find yourself on the run in ways unexpected.
Yes, so yesterday was a planned run. Today we are running to the
Good afternoon and a very warm welcome. Thanks for staying tuned to CNN News 18. I'm Kritsween Valia. Lots of developments unfolding as the conflict unleashed by the United States and Israel on Iran enters its second week. A big message and an assurance coming in from Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian as well. But do remember, all strategic calls in Iran are taken by the IRGC, and state affairs is what the political leadership decides. So what do we make of that comment? What is that comment all about, and where do things stand as of week 2? We get you all the details over the next few minutes. First up, the top headlines we're tracking at this hour. Iran's president apologizes to neighbors for conflict after huge explosions rock Tehran airport, defies US demands for an unconditional surrender, says that this dream is only going to be limited and they must take this to their grave. Latest satellite images show damage at 4 US military sites in the Middle East after Iranian strikes since February 28th. US President Donald Trump says the Iranian military has been completely destroyed and insists there will be no deal with Tehran except unconditional surrender. Massive explosion reported near Dubai airport as Iran expands attacks across the Gulf. Authorities have denied reports circulating on social media regarding any incident at the airport. Flights have resumed after temporary suspension. US intensifies Operation Epic Fury. Over 3,000 targets hit across Iran. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio says US not officially seeking regime change in Iran, but the United States wants different leadership. Also says the war could now last several more weeks. After giving India quote-unquote permission to buy Russian oil, US Treasury Secretary hints at lifting more Russian oil sanctions. Reports claim that the United States Army has cancelled a major training exercise amid speculation that the troops may be deployed to the Middle East going forward. We start with reports that we've been tracking for the last few hours of a drone striking the Dubai International Airport's runway, forcing the suspension of all flights today. Dubai official handle has also taken to social media. The authorities, though, have denied reports circulating on social media regarding any incidents at the international airport. And what we're learning in the latest as a result of this clarification is also that the airport has resumed operations after brief suspension. So that's the latest coming in. But these are visuals that have been doing the rounds on social media, and you do see the magnitude of that explosion believed to be the Dubai International Airport. Do remember, the busiest international airport in the world. So flights were briefly suspended. Those operations have now resumed, is what we're learning, that flight operations after this clarification have now resumed. So that's the latest coming in from the Dubai authorities, the Dubai airport officials coming out with this clarification. Do remember, the other parallel interesting update that's come in almost at the same time, hours into these reports doing the rounds on social media, is a pre-recorded video message of Iranian Minister of Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, who's gone on to say in as many words that going forward, Iran will not strike at any of the Gulf nations unless they are attacked they are attacked first. So that's the clarification that's come in. In the meanwhile, allow me to bring in Sanjay Suri into the conversation. He joins us live from Tel Aviv. Sanjay, good afternoon. Hope you're doing fine. Give us a sense of what's happening in the latest, the sounds, explosions, if any, that you're hearing of, because a wave of attacks still being carried out by the IDF. They're taking to social media to put out proof to support the claims as well. But Iran is not giving up either. Despite the big message that's come in from the Iranian president, we do see a significant strikes aimed towards Israel still.
Well, and these strikes appear to have been increasing in intensity and frequency over the last 24 hours or so, after a relative lull of a few days. So Israel clearly is in the sights of Iran, and Iran will no doubt target Israel as much and as often as it can and with all that it's got. What is a little surprising is the reports of the attack in Dubai, and we also have reports suggesting that an IRGC naval unit has launched attacks at a US base in the Arab world, one of the neighboring Arab countries. The details of that are awaited. But if these attacks are current, then they would be quite inconsistently, obviously, with the message of Pezeshkian. There is a question of timing, whether these will now stop once the order from Pezeshkian takes effect. But there is a question also whether Pezeshkian really is in charge. We've been hearing for some time about a decentralized system put in place for security's sake, the mosaic as it is called in Iran. We always were in a danger that this mosaic could end up as a mess with no central command in charge. So questions have arisen how much Pezeshkian is in charge of operations in Iran and whether there are rogue units or independent units, if we want to be polite, still operating and may continue to do for some time. And the result of that, again, is uncertain.
Because a lot of analysis has also pointed to what you're highlighting, that political leaders in Iran are merely looking at state affairs, not so much the strategic affairs. And the IRGC is the one that calls the shots, as always. So were they taken into confidence when the president made this announcement? And what does the president really mean? And that's another important question, isn't it, Sanjay? When he says that none of the neighboring countries in the Gulf will be targeted, does that also amount to US bases being left out? Or is it that Iran has already fulfilled its objectives as far as attacking some of these US military assets are concerned? What's the report that you're getting there in Israel?
Well, certainly Iran is well short of fulfilling its objectives. Certainly it has not taken out all US bases in the region. But again, we are in uncertain territory. The precise limits or the precise definition of this new order from Pezeshkian has not been spelled out, and certainly we do not see it finding expression, at least immediately. Whether the US bases will continue to be a target, one would think not, going by the statement that the statement would suggest that attacks into these countries would be halted. And if that is an order that takes effect in practical terms, then certainly we will see some sort of cessation of hostilities and some move towards normalcy in these countries. So it's a question of how far and how soon this order takes effect, and also whether this takes effect at all.
Sanjay, the other important aspect of the Israeli attack is how it continues to target some of these Hezbollah bases. Hezbollah operating out of some of these locations are also constantly being targeted. If you could give us a real-time update on what's happening at that front, because loud explosions have also been heard over Tel Aviv. And if one were to believe reports, a lot of these reports suggest that Hezbollah is striking with as much intensity as Iran is.
Well, Hezbollah certainly would. Hezbollah is long considered a proxy of Iran or an ally of Iran, depending on what you want to call it. And certainly it's all getting very hot up in the north in Israel, in the direction of Lebanon. We've seen a number of strikes carried out by the IDF in southern Beirut particularly. Those are believed to be areas where the Hezbollah is concentrated. And the Hezbollah is in a very odd sort of position within Lebanon. It's on the one hand a part of the Lebanese government. On the other hand, it's independent of it, and in defiance of the Lebanese government, it has a military force of its own that doesn't listen to the Lebanese government or the authority, which of course it is also a part of. It's a very strange situation. But Hezbollah certainly, following the outbreak of the war, started firing rockets into Israel, and Israel has retaliated with these bombings and is now preparing to push north through the buffer zone that was set up and policed by the United Nations into areas in the attempt to get hold of strategic areas and to clear away the population and to increase the distance between the Israeli population and Hezbollah operators. The question, of course, is that this has been a difficulty that's been 50 years hovering above Israel and around Lebanon. The question is how far these new moves can be effective. 50 years back, rocket fire was one thing. Today, its drones are another. And whether another few kilometers north of gaining territory will blunt Hezbollah attacks, again, is uncertain. There just are too many uncertainties about.
Yeah, and most of the 50 years, what we've seen is shadow wars being fought against Israel. For the first time, we've seen this kind of a direct engagement between, military engagement between Israel and Iran cross a week's time. Sanjay, stay on with us. There's more breaking news that's coming in. The inputs that we're tracking at the moment also suggest that the IDF has completed an additional wave of strikes targeting infrastructure belonging to the Iranian regime in Tehran. Over 80 Israeli Air Force fighter jets guided by IDF intelligence completed an additional wave of strikes targeting infrastructure belonging to the Iranian regime in Tehran and additional areas in central Iran as well. Across to Sanjay in just a bit. But this is what the IDF has claimed, and it's taken to social media to post this map which suggests the 3 key locations that have been struck by them in the latest. Number one, of course, on your screens is the university. This is the main IRGC university. Several officials, are usually seen take part in several university activities as well. So this is one of the key targets of the IDF. The other target is, of course, a storage site of the missile unit. Military bunkers, launching infrastructure was located. Another infrastructure underground, which was basically storing ballistic missiles, has also been targeted, and this proof has been put out by the IDF as they have put these satellite images on a map to tell the world how these precision strikes are being carried out. Sanjay continues to stay on with us. Sanjay, we were discussing this a little while earlier, that Israel is not going to be the one to give up first. In fact, many experts also believe that the United States has only assisted Israel in what its primary objective was, because do remember during President Obama's tenure, we did see a disappointed Israel as soon as the sanctions on Iran were dropped. How the story really turned and what the sentiment of at least the Republicans was at that point in time. So Israel finally being able to do what it wanted to do with the United States assistance. They're not going to give up as yet. Tell us a little bit about the military arsenal that Israel is putting to use in taking on Iran as we speak.
Well, the military arsenal of Israel is an extension of the military arsenal of the US, both offensive and defensive, by the way of the aircraft it has, by way of the cruise missiles it has, the Tomahawks, the other missiles, the defensive missile systems, the THAAD, the Patriot. So this is an extension of the US military system and military hardware that Israel is using. Israel does, of course, have a good deal of weaponry of its own, particularly with some rockets and through drone technology, where Israel has been quite a pioneer. But clearly, it is in this with a very heavy US backing, and it is using that. The primary targets you were speaking of clearly are those we have been looking at, trying to take out missile launch capacity in Iran. That is the primary target, but it is also the ultimate target. The primary target is hittable, perhaps even achievable to an extent. The ultimate target, very difficult, because that will mean necessarily that the very last capacity of Iran to launch a missile is negated under the present regime, and that change can only come from within. It will need a government in place in Iran to come down heavily and to erase that capacity. We are not there yet. We have, again, rather strange messaging from Rubio saying that the US is not looking for regime change, but in fact that it is, simply wants another government in place. What is the great difference? It's hard to see. But clearly the aim primarily is to blunt the capacity of Iran to hit Israel, and Iran continues to do so at the moment despite a fair degree of degradation of its missile arsenal.
And what role do the Gulf nations play in this entire objective, combined objective of the United States and Israel remains to be seen as well, because so far we've not seen a direct attack being launched by any of these Gulf nations, is why perhaps we're seeing that humble appeal also come in from the Iranian President Pezeshkian. Speaking of which, there's another breaking news update that's just come in. Sanjay, stay on with us. We're learning that the US B-1 bombers landed in the United Kingdom after Keir Starmer, remember, gave Donald Trump the permission to use bases in the United Kingdom for strikes that have to be carried out on Iran. So this is the latest that we're learning. The first US B-1 bomber has made its way to the United Kingdom. We want to pull out these visuals as well. There you see on your screens the first B-1 bomber now landing in the United Kingdom. So we have the first set of visuals. Now this is once again the United States military arsenal, which is being able to result in the kind of damage that we're seeing all across Iran. Remember, this is the most prized possession of the United States, and the US has been speaking about its success in the ongoing conflict as well. And this was a permission which was sought by US President Donald Trump himself, reached out to Keir Starmer and to several other European nations. Do remember, the one appeal that the United States continues to make is that they be allowed to use some of these military bases for further cornering Iran in the ongoing conflict. Sanjay continues to stay on with us. Now, Sanjay, we were discussing this a little while earlier, and what comes with the B-1 bomber. The United States has been taking pride in this for a long, long time, and goes without saying that it's a big reassurance for Israel as well in this joint conflict, or rather this war that's been unleashed by the two nations against Iran. But what do you make of the other European nations, what their role so far has been? Spain, for instance, has taken a contradictory position on this, but this is the first B-1 bomber landing in UK as we speak.
You know, UK has taken a very dilly-dallying position, humming and hawing, but this, but not that. And Starmer's position has been changing from the start. At the beginning, refused to go along with this, refused to let the US use British bases. Then there was a conditional change that yes, some may be used, but only for defensive purposes. Then again, we had sarcastic comments from Starmer in the House of Commons saying that regime change from the skies is difficult. And finally, the British giving way, no doubt under a great deal of pressure politically and militarily from within Britain, that Britain really cannot take a position independent of the US, opposed to the US even, in fact. And so the British have come on board, as they were always going to. So we are seeing a restoration of the umbilical cord links now between Britain and the US, where Britain compulsively will go with the US militarily in whatever it does. It has been so for a long, and it's back to that position now. It's not going to make a great deal of operative difference. This B-1 landing is really a picture, it's a symbolic picture. It signals a oneness that has been missing for some time. Operatively, for the US and Israel, this is not going to matter a lot.
And let's not forget, you know, how the United States has, in a way, made it very clear that before they run out of their expensive munitions, they're going to ensure that Iran's missile launchers stand completely destroyed, its military capability stands completely destroyed. And this, once again, is a signal that is being sent out to the world, underscoring the same. Thank you, Sanjay, for joining us with all those details. We head into a very quick break. On that note, we'll be right back with lots more in just a bit.
Serve, and I was assigned to be part of the Air Force, and I was doing airplanes controlling, and for that we needed to go through a long course with a lot of requirements, and it was quite challenging. But you know, we were 18 years old after school straight away to go through all of that, and then serving for 2 years.
So a good deal of the civilian population is, in a sense, in an essential sense, the military population. But it's not just military exposure and training this is about. A great deal of Israel's strength lies in an ability to hold together, defending under siege. The glue that holds people together is a passionate, personally held belief in Israel. Nationalism here is not a state of mind, it's a matter of survival.
You're born a soldier. You have to protect your country. This is a country under war, okay? So everybody feels very emotional about Jerusalem, you know, Tel Aviv, all the cities around Israel that is very attached to us, and we care about each other.
When you're raised and you see wars around you, and you understand we're a very small country, not many citizens. I mean, we're 10 million, that's it. So when you're raised seeing that what we're going through and what our parents had to go through, so it's like a fact. We don't really sit and think, should I, shouldn't I? It's something that is happening. So there is no even hesitation because that's our country. And if we're not going to protect it,
so
we don't have other choice.
So everybody must do the army. It's otherwise, how can we survive with so many enemies around us? So we volunteer, we want to do it. We want to help our country and want to make us stronger, want to be safe and feel in a safe community. We want to have a good life, and with the help of Trump, we'll be able to do it.
Israelis are in a difficult place together. One way to deal with that, with the difficulty, is the spirit, high spirits. Not necessarily dance on the streets, so there's that too, as we've seen, but just bonding, laughing together. And there's nothing quite like the bomb shelter for that.
And here we are in the shelter. The siren has just gone off and everyone's walked in here very quietly and very quickly, I have to say. And amongst us all here is a visitor from India, Anamika. What brings you here at a time like this?
Namaste.
Welcome back. Let's talk about the Super Sunday that awaits all of us. India, though, remember, is still licking the wounds of the 2023 World Cup final when the team suffered a heartbreaking defeat to Australia at the very same venue where they'll be playing tomorrow's final, the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad. India faced New Zealand at the same venue in the T20 World Cup 2026 final tomorrow, that is Sunday. Carrying the memories of that pain and the pressure of redemption as well. But it has been quite a campaign, this T20 World Cup, remember. So far, we have seen India just lose to South Africa in the ongoing World Cup campaign, and this takes them now, the victory over England takes them now to a final setup with New Zealand. It's going to be played in Ahmedabad tomorrow. We get you more details on the preparations and mood in the city. Take a look at this report.
We are in the Indian city of Ahmedabad and the city has come alive. In fact, while I was just driving up through the streets to try and see what the atmosphere was like, there were still so much of crowd, so many spectators, so many fans of Indian cricket gathered right outside the stadium. They were still thronging it, probably waiting to catch a glimpse of the cricket teams who will head in for their practice sessions. In fact, today is a bit of a packed day. We have New Zealand, they're training earlier with their press briefing, and of course India right after will have a late evening session. They'll also have a press briefing. It's going to be a very important one leading up to that big final. Remember, India is on the cusp of creating history. If they do cross the line on Sunday night, then they wouldn't only be the first cricket team to defend a world title, they would be the first to win a world title and defend so at home. So it's a huge opportunity, and of course with that comes a lot of pressure. With New Zealand too, it's probably the thought of being in a venue that is going to be so partisan. They're going to have a very small percentage of crowd really supporting them. They're the nice guys. Of course, we've had some lovely battles with New Zealand. We've got lovely memories of watching New Zealand playing India as well.
And if India were indeed to win this one, and fingers crossed for that, it will become the first team ever to win the T20 World Cup thrice. So it's going to be a massive build-up here on CNN News 18 all through tomorrow morning leading up to the match. We'll keep getting you all the latest updates. For now, it's a short break.
Serve, and I was assigned to be part of the Air Force, and I was doing airplanes controlling, and for that we needed to go through a long course with a lot of requirements, and it was quite challenging. But you know, we were 18 years old, after school straight away to go through all of that, and then serving for 2 years.
So a good deal of the civilian population is, in a sense, in an essential sense, the military population. But it's not just military exposure and training this is about. A great deal of Israel's strength lies in an ability to hold together, defending under siege. The glue that holds people together is a passionate, personally held belief in Israel. Nationalism here is not a state of mind, it's a matter of survival.
You're born a soldier. You have to protect your country. This is a country under war, okay? So everybody feels very emotion about Jerusalem, you know, Tel Aviv, all the cities around Israel that is very attached to us, and we care about each other.
When you're raised and you see wars around you, and you understand we're a very small country, not many citizens. I mean, we're 10 million, that's it. So when you're raised seeing that what we're going through and what our parents had to go through, so it's like a fact. We don't really sit and think, should I, shouldn't I? It's something that is happening. So there is no even hesitation because that's our country. And if we're not going to protect it, we don't have other choice.
So everybody must do the army. It's otherwise, how can we survive with so many enemies around us? So we volunteer, we want to do it, we want to help our country and want to make us stronger, want to be safe and feel in a safe community. We want to have a good life, and with the help of Trump, we'll be able to do it.
Israelis are in a difficult place together. One way to deal with that, with the difficulty, is the spirit, high spirits. Not necessarily dance on the streets, so there's that too, as we've seen, but just bonding, laughing together. And there's nothing quite like the bomb shelter for that.
And here we are in the shelter. The siren has just gone off and everyone's walked in here very quietly and very quickly, I have to say. And amongst us all here is a visitor from India, Anam.
India is facing a cancer challenge where the greatest enemy isn't just the disease, it is the silence that precedes it. Choosing to step into that silence, Network 18, Federal Bank, Homis Memorial Foundation and Tata Trusts came together 3 years ago to bridge this gap between fear and courage, between a hidden symptom and a timely cure. Today, I'm deeply moved to share that our mission, Sanjeevni United Against Cancer, has reached the unseen and the unheard. From the young to the old, from bustling urban centers to the heart of rural Bharat. And we carried with us a lifeline. Time nikale, screen kare. Welcome to this special presentation of Sanjeevni United Against Cancer, where we look back at the distance we've traveled and map the miles that remain. I'm honored to be joined by the architect of this movement, MVS Murthy, the Chief Marketing Officer at Federal Bank, and Shireen Bhan, the Managing Editor of CNBC TV 18. She herself has been championing the cause of early cancer detection. Thank you to the both of you.
Thank you.
MVS, I want to begin with you. Take us all the way back. Let's go back to the drawing board. Talk about how Federal Bank decided to step into this journey, this movement, really be the reason that we can see this change today. Because typically, You know, banks are all about securing financial future, but here we are securing the right to a future.
I think the important point is the financial future. Whose future do we want to secure? We want to secure futures of communities. We want to secure futures of our citizens. So when you say all the way back, it goes to the Wagah border literally, because the first edition of Sanjeevani was launched around COVID, where we went out and distributed over 100,000 vaccines to a lot of people when COVID was at its peak. So that's where it began. And then we took a pause because we wanted Sanjeevani to be something which is working on a perpetual kind of a mode, and we wanted to find out a reason for it to sort of perpetuate its cause. And then we were wondering what to go out and do. And cancer was something that we landed upon, but we also realized that there are a lot of companies and a lot of NGOs who are already doing work on cancer on the side of patient support and supporting families who have lost their insurance or state government support and stuff like that. So we said, where is the hard work got to be put in? And we said, let's put the hard work in the space of cancer awareness and getting people to screen. It is almost like saying DPTK, DOTK, it's that kind of a mode. But that's really where the work needs to go, because if you're able to prevent the disease much earlier, then there is no need for a patient care or a patient support. So that's where we landed up there. Now, when I look back, I'm super proud that the brand and the foundation itself has put in a lot of work. We began from just doing awareness and screening in the phase 1 of Sanjeevani, which is about 3 years back. We started going to corporates, we started going to schools and talking to girl children about HPV vaccinations. Yeah. And today we are going to villages in the country and helping a lot of our women to go out and detect cancer or to identify themselves if they're suffering from breast cancer.
You touched upon this briefly, the need to really focus not just on treatment and go much before to the stage of detection prevention. Do you think things have changed for good? Have you seen that change the last 3 years?
Collective sensitivity around health has gone up, okay? And everyone is trying to work on those aspects of health which are there. But cancer, unfortunately, is like Voldemort. It's around, but nobody wants to talk about it, right? So it's the thing. And at the end of the day, if we are all potters, so to say, then it's a battle in our own minds to say that I want to go and do that screening, I want to go and do the test. And cancer doesn't, classify itself around age groups or gender or stuff like that. It just comes and attacks you because it grows on your fear. Yeah. And therefore, it was very, very important to do this part of the story strongly. And overall, I feel that because of the way the country is, because of the way the story is brewing, because of the way a lot of government of India, what they're doing around cancer care and especially around women, there is a lot of collective awareness which has been amped up. And I think people are coming forward to get themselves screened. But the story has to be taken far deeper.
And when this message finally comes through, when you're seeing people respond, particularly the young, adolescent girls, boys, when this message gets communicated the way we've attempted to communicate with them, what kind of a response have you seen?
I think I want to break this down into different parts, okay? One is the girls and the boys. So particularly at school, there was initially resistance with the parents about whether they want to give a vaccine to their girls or no. But because of increasing awareness and the fact that it mitigates cervical cancer little later on, parents have become more aware. Kids took the message back home. It became easy for us to go out and do those HPV vaccinations in schools. And we got the parents together. So we must have almost touched, in terms of individuals, we have touched about 75,000 people, the children and their parents included. So families have been impacted positively by this thing. The second part is what has happened in villages. Now, here is the unfortunate part of the story. Every camp that we did in a panchayat or in a village, we found that at least 25% of the women were suffering or were carrying a stage 2 or a stage 3 cancer without knowing that they are carrying it. Which is where the Sarpanch and everybody came into play, and they also sort of supported, saying that we want more and more screenings to be done. So that's how we went out and did these screenings in the villages.
Yeah. Intention was very clear that this has to be dealt with in perpetuity. We create not just advocacy and awareness, but we actually create this around a purpose. And what was the purpose that we were trying to address? To really get people to become aware, and now more particularly get women to become more aware. I mean, women in general, but me in particular, you'll either say you don't have the time, or you believe that you're infallible and it could never happen to you, or there is a genuine fear of finding out. It's not FOMO, it's FOFO. There is a genuine fear of finding out.
The small reminders, I love that, because these small reminders play such a huge role, and they go unnoticed, right? Yes. So pink tag, I think, is a beautiful concept right there, which reminds you to keep looking out for yourself. Rural India in particular, how has rural India responded?
No, before I come to rural India, I just want to weigh in with what Shireen said. And what she has not said is that the pink tag project and Sanjeevani itself has been carried by the Network 18 editorial team and your sales team as well. She carried this to Davos.
Yeah.
And she spoke about Sanjeevani at Davos, got a lot of world leaders to come and know about the Sanjeevani project. It didn't stop there. She spoke to Mr. Ajay Banga when he was here in India and said that we are doing Sanjeevani, and she patched me with him saying that see if you can work together. So there is a lot which has happened, and that is how partnership actually works. Coming down to rural India, and I gave you a segue into this story because we thought that maybe if we can get into the innerwear, and blouse for a woman in a rural area is a very important thing, because tag is always, that's the go-to point to buy anything that you want to go and buy. And a lot of villages still have a darzi.
Yeah.
So if we can go and tap into the darzi's network and put a tag, we are home as far as delivering the message is concerned. The other challenge was that you don't know if people can read and write because it's technical kind of a language. So how do you go around it? Which is where we use visuals. So now I think across Mathura, Dhanbad and Bathinda, there are about 5,000 tags which have been distributed to the topmost darzi of the place, and he is putting in those tags, and there is a whole conversation which is happening. Plus there were the rural sakhis who were there, and they carried the message. So it's been a collective effort, and I think I really want to thank Network 18 team, because if they would not have thought of, and they had the reach. So it was a question of getting the right kind of a idea and not just blowing it up on some
Talk about the impact of this wonderful initiative in just a bit. We'll have to head into a very quick break, a short break on this presentation of Sanjeevani United Against Cancer. On the other side, we'll be decoding what we've already touched upon, the Pink Tag project, one of our biggest milestones yet. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Serve, and I was assigned to be part of the Air Force, and I was doing airplanes controlling, and for that we needed to go through a long course with a lot of requirements, and it was quite challenging, but we were 18 years old, after school straight away to go through all of that, and then serving for 2 years.
So a good deal of the civilian population is, in an essential sense, the military population. But it's not just military exposure and training this is about. A great deal of Israel's strength lies in an ability to hold together, defending under siege. The glue that holds people together is a passionate, personally held belief in Israel. Nationalism here is not a state of mind, it's a matter of survival.
You're born a soldier. You have to protect your country. This is a country under war, okay? So everybody feels very emotion about Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, all the cities around Israel that is very attached to us, and we care about each other.
When you're raised and you see wars around you, and you understand we're a very small country, not many citizens. I mean, we're 10 million, that's it. So when you're raised seeing that what we're going through and what our parents had to go through, so it's like a fact. We don't really sit and think, should I, shouldn't I? It's something that is happening. So there is no even hesitation, because that's our country. And if we're not going to protect it, we don't have other choice.
So everybody must do the army. It's otherwise, how can we survive with so many enemies around us? So we volunteer, we want to do it, we want to help our country and want to make us stronger, want to be safe and feel in a safe community. We want to have a good life, and with the help of Trump, we'll be able to do it.
Israelis are in a difficult place together. One way to deal with that, with the difficulty, is the spirit, high spirits. Not necessarily dance on the streets, so there's that too, as we've seen, but just bonding, laughing together. And there's nothing quite like the bomb shelter for that.
And here we are in the shelter. The siren has just gone off and everyone's walked in here very quietly and very quickly, I have to say. And amongst us all here is a visitor from India, Anamika. What brings you here at a time like this?
Namaste. Well, I'm here because yesterday there was a run. There was a marathon in Tel Aviv and we wanted to participate, and I came here for that and decided to stay.
And you find yourself on the run in ways unexpected.
Yes, so yesterday was a planned run. Today we are running to the shelters, so yes, it is unexpected.
And is this your first visit to Israel?
Yes, it is my first visit. I'm loving it. Yeah.
Even here in the shelter?
The shelter is one of the experiences. If you look around, you will see the people are super friendly. They're prepared. They're keeping the mood up. They're very positive. We know that this is for a very good reason that this is happening. So it's not just for just because they're having a war.
Welcome back. While large-scale campaigns create the noise, true change often happens in the margins, in the private, unspoken moments. This brings us to a chapter of Sanjeevani that is both poetic and practical, the Pink Tag Project. We know that breast cancer is the most common cancer amongst women, yet it is often ignored because the self comes last for most. We realize that the most intimate time a woman has is when she is getting dressed. It's a moment of self-reflection by stitching a small pink tag inside a blouse next to a label she sees every day. We've turned garments into guardians. So let's take a look at this beautiful film that captures the essence of the Pink Tag Project.
महिलाएं दिन भर सबका ध्यान रखने का समय निकाल लेती हैं, पर जब हमने इनसे पूछा कि क्या वो ब्रेस्ट कैंसर के लिए अपनी जांच करती हैं, तो बोली कि समय ही नहीं मिलता। पर हमने पाया कि हर रोज दिन का एक वक्त ऐसा होता है जब यदि हम उन्हें याद दिलाएं तो वो अपनी जांच जरूर कर सकती हैं। तो इस प्रकार शुरुआत हुई पिंक टैग प्रोजेक्ट की। हमने बनाई एक गुलाबी पट्टी।
ये पट्टी आपको सभी कपड़ों में लगानी है। ये पट्टी जांच की याद दिलाएगी। बाएं हाथ पे नीचे की तरफ।
तो एक छोटी सी पट्टी की सिलाई से हुई शुरुआत, हर महिला तक ब्रेस्ट कैंसर की जानकारी पहुंचाने की। देखते ही देखते नारी शक्ति की एक सेना उमड़ पड़ी, गांव-गांव एक नई क्रांति लाने, ये बताने कि जब भी इस पट्टी पर नजर पड़े तुरंत अपनी जांच कर लो।
इस पहल को हमें आगे बढ़ाना है, सभी को मिलकर इस देश के कोने-कोने तक इस अभियान को लाना है।
And we would urge each and every clothing brand in the country to start putting the pink tag in their clothes. This will act like a reminder medium to all women to do their self-test on a regular basis.
The Pink Tag Project, एक छोटी गुलाबी पट्टी के साथ ये है हमारी एक छोटी सी शुरुआत।
Well, pink tags remind women to pause, to conduct self-checks, and most importantly, to prioritize their life. And now to discuss the intersection between fashion and frontline health, we are also being joined by co-founders of Suta. Both the lovely ladies are with us in the studio. Welcome to the show, Sujata and Tanya Biswas. Sujata, Tanya, let's really talk about the story here. You know, Suta, once again, a brand which is known for bringing together fabric and craft and stories. There's a lot of storytelling essentially behind the brand. What made you think twice into this concept of really coming up with or being open to the idea of this constant reminder for women through your clothes?
It was not thinking twice. It was, I think, instant. Like the moment I heard this, I'm like, wow, who thought about this? You know, like we didn't discuss it. Like it was a perfect match. So it's like blouse being so close to your breasts, and that's what you need to check. And as we just heard, right, that women put themselves last, don't check themselves. And that moment, like when we work out, when we are alone in front of the mirror getting ready, that's the only time we are with ourselves. Otherwise, we're thinking about this, that person, I have to take care of that, I have to maybe run to school, or maybe just like, you know, do grocery shopping. And that's the only time when you're thinking about yourself. So that tag being close to you, it cannot be a better reminder to think, pause, check yourself. It's sometimes very scary that you're talking about what can happen, but Sanjeevani was not a scary message. It was not dramatizing cancer. It was just a silent nudge
reminder for you, and not loud, very subtly.
Soft reminder.
Soft reminder. I think that's what is necessary, that you check and not get to know about it later.
So tell us about this concept. Let's really try and understand where exactly do you find the pink tag, how is it stitched, what more details are there? Tell us more.
So it's stitched exactly where the wash care usually is, and usually without even thinking you go to the tag. Your hands automatically reach there, you look at it, and like how you mentioned, MVS, that it's pictorial, and also it's written how to check. It's not just, hey, you may have it, go check. It's a very silent nudge, and very beautifully it's kept inside the tag. It's pink in color. You will definitely notice it.
When our customers reacting to it, have you had some wonderful suggestions? Yes. People who've come back with great feedback.
Loads of customers. Yeah. Loads of customers have said that I know it. It's something that it's like obvious. But I have not been doing it myself. So, you know, even blood tests and stuff like that, right? It's, you know it, you have to do it, but you just don't do it. So breast examination comes like, I think very, very late. You will feel, how can I detect it myself? So I think when the customers are calling and telling us, so the customer care is like literally flooded, and just so happy saying that, you know, we are having a discussion ourselves with the customers saying that, oh, I just got myself tested, you know, just myself, and also talking about it. When I'm meeting my friends, when I've told my family members, I told my, you know, my mother. So one customer told me, I told my mother to do it. So it's such a beautiful thing, right? Even one or two people.
And just to pick up on what, you know, we just heard there, Vidya Balan is, of course, the brand ambassador of the Sanjeevani campaign. And when I was having a conversation with her at our last event, this is what she said. She said it was because she became the brand ambassador that she went and got herself tested, and she hadn't thought of that till the time that she came on board with Sanjeevani. So I think it does nudge you into making that change, start to think about it, you know, from a very sort of personal perspective as well. For us, this was not a marketing campaign. For us, this was purpose-driven, and you know, we were trying to address a problem that's a very real problem and a very real challenge. In fact, it is a crisis that India is facing at this point in time. And the other aspect, and you know, it's great to have the two of them here because it tells you the power of the ecosystem, and we've been trying to create that ecosystem. We've got hospitals on board, we've got you know, other partners on board, civil society on board, people like Suta now on board as well. So the partnership, the collaborative aspect, creation of an ecosystem, it's not just enough to create awareness and advocacy. What do you do post that? Where do you go? What do you do with this information? Where do you go to screen? You know, that's what we also wanted to address. So this has been looked at in various parts. It's not just one thing that we're trying to address, but this ecosystem approach that we've also tried to take has been a significant aspect of building out this campaign as well.
Lovely. MVS, we've also taken this initiative to rural clusters. Who would have thought that a local tailor is going to be carrying this message to each and every house?
See, there are two different kinds of clothes we are talking about. A blouse in a village is an everyday wear. It sparks an everyday conversation. But what they create is designer. Sometimes it's heirloom. It goes to the next generation. So it's going to stay there for a long while. So what Shirin is saying, that it's not something which is just about marketing. And she mentioned a very important thing which didn't come up earlier. But the fact of the matter is that we just didn't work on awareness and pushing people to screen. But we also partnered with Tata Trust, who's our knowledge partner. We set up, you know, cancer help centers at their Tirupati and Assam hospitals, which has got the highest number of cases of cancer. And now we have extended to about 8 more hospitals. So it's a full 360-degree effort which is happening. But honestly, we don't want to see people in the hospitals. We rather see them somewhere here. विकसित भारत होने के पहले स्वस्थ भारत होना जरूरी है. और स्वस्थ हम तब होंगे जब हमारी जो महिलाएं हैं, I mean the women folk, if they are healthy, then you have an entire nation which is healthy.
Suta's warmly welcomed the initiative, and we're grateful. It's also a call, isn't it, Shireen, to other brands out there to ensure that their products are doing the same messaging, they're carrying the same message, they're actually being vehicles for change.
You will find like-minded partners, you will find your tribe, and we're really glad that we've got them as part of our tribe, and may the tribe continue to grow. But this is not something that we want to force on people, right? We want people to participate because they genuinely believe that this is something that they want to be part of, this is something that they want to take forward in some form or fashion, either individually or through their corporate efforts. So, so the idea really is to get people who genuinely care about this issue to come on board, because as I said, we want this to be sustainable. We don't want this to be a 1 week, 1 month kind of thing. And we are in talks with other companies, other brands to get them on board.
From a banking perspective, risk assessment has to be left to the end user. So Suta and the Pink Tag project does exactly this. It's not shouting in your face, it's not scaring the hell out of you, but it's allowing you to assess the risk on your own. So those are the parts which we want to work, and I think there will be a lot more ideas which will keep happening. You can't sort of break the mountain down in one go, but there is a lot of effort.
But this conversation is surely moving past studios. It's surely getting into screenings and what more, MVS?
No, so clearly screenings, and of course we want to increase the support for patients, and somewhere the Federal Hornets Foundation also wants to put up screening devices, machines in hospitals, because that's going to be the next step. Creating infrastructure around it is a very, very critical
and I would like to add to that, because I think that's the big piece, right? I mean, we do have a infrastructure deficit in the country, a healthcare infrastructure deficit in the country. We don't have enough hospitals, especially when we talk about access in rural India. So I think making that much more accessible, much more affordable, good quality, I think that would certainly, I mean, if you would ask me, how do I see this panning out in the future, and what are the aspects that we would like to contribute to change in the future? Physical infrastructure, the healthcare, for the healthcare sector, I think hopefully if we can do something on that front, and also support innovation. I mean, today, we have seen some breakthroughs in innovation when it comes to screening the machines, portable machines, and so on and so forth, and we've had them as part of the Sanjeevani campaign. But really, can we become the catalyst to nurture innovation in this space?
To add to what Srini is saying is that in terms of innovation, there is so much of AI now. I mean, I don't even perhaps need to reach a stage of screening and awareness if gene pools can be changed and we can duck cancer. But there is a lot of effort which needs to happen there. So it's a very exciting time, and I think a lot of people are pooling in their resources. And the other part which he also mentioned, and this infrastructure is a very, very, very critical thing, and particularly as you go deeper into the pin codes, it's just not there.
Okay, and to the ladies here, before we quickly wrap up, one thing that you have personally taken away from the Pink Tag project, obviously it's closely integrated with your model as we speak, but if there's something that you're personally taking back with you from this?
So Suta has always been about comfort and not about style. So what I feel is, if you just focus on the exterior all the time and not think about yourself internally. So that's what I think the message is, that if you are not healthy yourself and just thinking about external projection, it will not work out, right? So you have to work on yourself, workouts, and also screen yourself, test yourselves, and figure out a way forward. Just can't be just one way, just the exterior. So I think that's
well, we're here for the small reminders, but do not wait for the small reminders. Please let that be the story.
I want to add one more aspect to what's also increasing the collective consciousness around the illness. One is that the men are getting conscious of their own set of cancers, which is prostate and lung cancer also, which can happen. The other part is that we are not a hierarchical family at this point in time, at least in the urban kind of a setup. So the men in the urban households are wanting their women to be healthy, and the dads and the mum and then the brothers, they're all sort of pushing each other to go on and take care of their health. So I think the men also have a role to play. It's not enough how much we do campaigns and how much we do patient support, but there has got to be a little bit of sensitivity and empathy.
It's not a woman's problem.
Yes,
I think that is what we need to address, and I have a problem with all of these conversations becoming very binary between men and women and that kind of thing. It is not a woman's problem. It impacts the entire family structure. So I think to MBS's point, to get the family unit to think about these decisions, to participate in these decisions, to have a conversation about these decisions, I think that is very important. When you think you have a child, both parents will sit down and talk about what the child needs and which school the child should go to and so on and so forth. Health should become a conversation like that, where it's the same for men and women, and women often get left behind, as is the case in most decisions. But hopefully when it comes to health, we hopefully will see a much more sort of active conversation that centers around the woman's health as well.
Other aspect, when she mentioned about families, the often ignored person is the caregiver. He or she needs a lot of palliative care, because mentally you just go bonkers to find somebody who's so close to you really struggling with his or her own cancer. So that's an area I think Sanjeevani has not done work on, but we would want to sort of, it's a takeaway for me on this conversation that I would want to increase work on the palliative care, but that's a space that we need to work in. And palliative care is something which can be, propagated by not so experienced medical practitioners, but everyday people. They can go on into palliative care for people.
So if these are conversations you're sitting on, you must have them right away in your own home. So begin with that. That's the message that I think we're all sharing today with our viewers. So we've spent 3 years turning silence into speech and fear into action. But as we say at Sanjeevani, our journey doesn't end here. It expands. Thank you, MBS. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Shireen, for joining us.
Thank you.
And for really taking the conversation forward. Truly hoping that we stay united in this. We don't just fight cancer, we celebrate life. To our viewers, your health is the foundation of your future and your family's future. So don't let it be an afterthought. Time nikale, screen kare. With that, it's a wrap on this special presentation of Sanjeevani United Against Cancer. Thanks for watching.
Serve, and I was assigned to be part of the Air Force, and I was doing airplanes controlling, and for that we needed to go through a long course with a lot of requirements, and it was quite challenging. But we were 18 years old, after school straight away to go through all of that, and then serving for 2 years.
So a good deal of the civilian population is, in a sense, in an essential sense, the military population. But it's not just military exposure and training this is about. A great deal of Israel's strength lies in an ability to hold together, defending under siege. The glue that holds people together is a passionate, personally held belief in Israel. Nationalism here is not a state of mind, it's a matter of survival.
You're born a soldier. You have to protect your country. This is a country under war, okay? So everybody feels very emotion about Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, all the cities around Israel that is very attached to us, and we care about each other.
When you're raised and you see wars around you, and you understand we're a very small country, not many citizens. I mean, we're 10 million, that's it. So when you're raised seeing that what we're going through and what our parents had to go through, so it's like a fact. We don't really sit and think, should I, shouldn't I? It's something that is happening. So there is no even hesitation because that's our country. And if we're not going to protect it, we don't have other choice.
So everybody must do the army. It's otherwise, how can we survive with so many enemies around us? So we volunteer, we want to do it. We want to help our country and want to make us stronger, want to be safe and feel in a safe community. We want to have a good life, and with the help of Trump, we'll be able to do it.
Israelis are in a difficult place together. One way to deal with that, with the difficulty, is the spirit, high spirits. Not necessarily dance on the streets, so there's that too, as we've seen, but just bonding, laughing together. And there's nothing quite like the bomb shelter for that.
And here we are in the shelter. The siren has just gone off and everyone's walked in here very quietly and very quickly, I have to say. And amongst us all here is a visitor from India, Anamika. What brings you here at a time like this?
Namaste. Well, I'm here because yesterday there was a run. There was a marathon in Tel Aviv and we wanted to participate, and I came here for that. And decided to stay.
And you find yourself on the run in ways unexpected.
Yes, so yesterday was a planned run. Today we are running to the shelters, so yes, it is unexpected.
And is this your first visit to Israel?
Yes, it is my first visit. I'm loving it. Yeah.
Even here in the shelter?
The shelter is one of the experiences. If you look around, you will see the people are super friendly. They're prepared. They're keeping the mood up. They're very positive. We know that this is for a very good reason that this is happening. So it's not just for just because they're having a war. So we are in a good positive space of mind, which I love about the Israeli people. They're so kind, they're so polite, and they're so upbeat. No matter what happens, they're resilient, and I love that.
So what do you make of this little party in the shelter? It seems quite happy.
We're always happy, you know. So first of all, namaste to all the great people in India. We love India. We love Modi. Just visited Israel a few days ago. And actually on Wednesday, there is an Indian festival at the old port of Jaffa. But about the situation now, we are here in a shelter.
You're watching CNN News 18. I'm Arunima. Let's start right away with that big news that is coming in from the domestic front. In a rare rebuke, President Draupadi Murmu has publicly expressed her displeasure with the West Bengal government for allegedly denying permission for an international Adivasi conclave in North Bengal, where she was scheduled to attend as chief guest. Speaking during her visit to Siliguri, the president also pointed to lapses in protocol and preparations, emphasizing that neither the chief minister, Mamata Banerjee, nor any of her ministers received her during this particular visit. And this is what the president had to say. Let's dip it.
हाँ तो बहुत अच्छा है, इतना बड़ा फील्ड है, यहाँ तो इतने सारे लोग आ सकते हैं, लेकिन पता नहीं क्या हुआ, क्या मन में समाया है उनका। जनरली देखा जाए तो प्रेसिडेंट आते हैं तो चीफ मिनिस्टर भी आना चाहिए, मंत्री भी आना चाहिए, लेकिन चीफ मिनिस्टर मैडम भी आए नहीं, और गवर्नर का तो तबादला हो गया है तो वो नहीं आ पाए, लेकिन क्योंकि डेट पहले से फिक्स था इसीलिए मैं आ गई। लेकिन मैं भी बंगाल का ही बेटी हूँ, बंगाल में बहुत क्यों आने ही नहीं देते। ममता दीदी मेरे बहन भी है, छोटे बहन है, पता नहीं मुझे कोई गुस्सा किए होंगे इसीलिए वहां जाके प्रोग्राम करा। कोई बात नहीं, कोई गिला नहीं, कोई शिकवा नहीं, लेकिन वो भी आबाद रहे, आप लोग ठीक रहे।
And after President of India herself expressed her anguish about what really has happened in Bengal, now the BJP is going all out, attacking Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee. BJP has attacked Mamata Banerjee's government, alleging it's a collapse of constitutional framework. They've called it unprecedented development in Bengal. West Bengal government has insulted the president is the attack that is coming in from the Bharatiya Janata Party. We are yet to hear what the Trinamool Congress or the West Bengal government's version is, but the BJP has seized on this matter after President herself spoke. Payal Mehta with me. Payal, clearly this is unprecedented. President herself is pointing out that it's a matter of protocol. She's the first citizen of this country. This kind of a protocol mismanagement is something that the president herself has underlined.
Yes, the last person to in fact get into politics over the entire issue would be the President of India, but she was completely anguished with the kind of disrespect that was shown to her. She was trying to participate in an Adivasi conclave. Remember, she's the Adivasi leader herself, the first woman Adivasi president of our country as well. And forget about that being organized. Mamata Banerjee, anybody from a ministry, did not even go and receive the president, which is a part of protocol as well. Remember, the President of India, Arunima, is the constitutional force. She does not belong to any political party. She demits all political aspirations and then goes on to become the president of the country. It's a constitutional post, the first citizen of the country. And therefore, BJP's Amit Malviya, who's the Bengal co-in charge, also coming out and lashing at Mamata Banerjee. That earlier we've seen the kind of disrespect that was shown towards governors, was shown to the Prime Minister himself. Remember when the Prime Minister had gone to review the cyclone preparation? That back then also Mamata Banerjee had refused to participate in that meeting and had walked out of the meeting as well. Her constant running with the Home Minister and with the other ministers of the center are nothing new as well, but this time around, even the President of India is not spared. And the President of India coming out and saying that I do not know what really angered Mamata Banerjee against me. I've always considered her to be like a younger sister of mine. I've also been a daughter of Bengal. I don't know why this respect has been shown to me. This respect is not shown to Draupadi Murmu, the person, but to the chair of the President of India, which is completely unfortunate, is what the BJP really is saying.
Yes. BJP's Amit Malviya, in fact, has called this not merely a discourtesy, but institutional disrespect. Kanchan Gupta, who's an advisor, has gone on to say that the West Bengal government is fast taking the government there to a situation which is complete anarchy and disorder. But what is the government of West Bengal's version? Kamalika is here with me on the story. Kamalika, anything that the TMC functionaries or government of West Bengal is saying after President herself, in a rare remark, expressed her anguish?
Till now, there has been no official version from the government or from the Trinamool Congress. There is no official version from the Trinamool Congress or the state government. And indeed, as Payal was also pointing out, this is the rarest of the rare case where President herself was hurt. She actually mentioned that if a president comes, then the chief minister or any council of minister, they should go. If not the chief minister, then a council of ministers should have been there. That is the constitutional norms, and that has not been followed. So clearly, the president was hurt, and not only that, this was an international Sautal conference, and where presidents also felt that there were people who were trying to stop the Sautals from coming to that the first venue. Now the thing is that president went to the first venue. As per sources, admin sources, that there was only one venue. So president went in that venue. When she was giving a speech, she realized that the number of people were supposed to come, it seems that they have not come. Then she inquired, and what we are coming to know, and then she wanted to go to Bidhan Nagar, where most of these Sautals were there, and she wanted to meet them. And that point of time, it was told to her that there is a security arrangement is not there, and it's a congested place. President then went to that place, and she herself said that she did not feel that there is any security problem or that area is congested. She rather said that 5 lakh people can gather there. So definitely it is a very rarest of rare case. This is unprecedented. President herself coming to Bengal, and then she got hurt. That is something which is unprecedented. No official version from the government. But what the sources, some sources in the administration are saying, that there was only one program and other program was not there, so there was no security arrangement. But the president, literally, she was very hurt, because we have not seen the president of India, the honorable president of India, giving such statements. She was literally very hurt, and that's why she gave this statement. And she also say that Sautals, nobody wants that the Adivasis and Sautals should come forward. So really, this is a very embarrassing thing for the government, definitely.
Right. Payal, if you're still there, President of India also pointed out that usually when she's visiting, it's either the chief minister or a minister from the state cabinet who's there to receive the president and be with the president through the program. The fact that there was no representation from the government, as the president was alleging, can you think of any other precedent, any other situation where this kind of breakdown in terms of protocol happened?
Well, as far as Draupadi Murmu's career is concerned, as the President of India, I do not remember any other scenario. Having said that, unlike our other political leaders who keep making their plans in the last moment, the President's plan is made always well in advance. It is, all the protocols have to be fulfilled before it is done well in advance. And therefore, it is very, very unprecedented. Something like this really should happen. At least being the fact that she's India's first female president, and also the fact that she's a tribal herself as well. Mamata Banerjee, being the former chief minister, should have also understood the protocol that she clearly followed. And like I said, that all programs concerning the president are drawn well in advance. There are, in fact, minute-by-minute programs that are drawn, and she does not deviate from that. Also, the fact that President of India herself had to come out and say that she was looking to come to this Adivasi conclave, where a lot of Santals had come in. Remember, she is coming in from the Santal Pargana area as well. That saying that there is no security arrangement. That being said, that there is no place to have this program was also not correct, because the president of herself mentions over there, remember, that there was enough place for everybody to come. At the same time, she said she was hurt that Mamata Banerjee did not extend any protocol to her. And finally, the president of India, given the kind of gravity that the post really holds, says, nonetheless, I've still come here, and I wish everybody well, and I wish Mamata Banerjee well as well. So that is a grace with Draupadi Murmu, the honorable president of India, seems to be speaking. But like I said, so far, no response coming from the Trinamool Congress. That is actually admission of guilt in a manner.
Kamalika, having known the topography of that area, and you just help us understand this tribal conference, like Payal also is pointing out, the president's itinerary is drawn days in advance. Local administration, the local government, everybody is on board because we're talking about the first citizen of the country. Any guesses you want to take as to what exactly could have happened for the president herself to come out and underline the breach of protocol?
No, that's definitely a very big question. Now, this was very well advanced, planned, and obviously the governor was supposed to go, but because the governor has resigned, that's why, and she also mentioned in her statement that the governor has got transferred. So this was well advanced plan. As far as the administrative sources are concerned, they are saying that there was one program. But the fact is, President making this statement, that has definitely, she is the first citizen of the country.
Right.
And this is an area, this is a Darjeeling, this falls under Darjeeling district, Arunima, where there is huge presence of obviously the Rajvansis, the Adivasis, the Santals. So a lot of those populations are there. But when it was an international Santal conference, and their presence was not there, that which was actually striked the mind of president. That's what we are coming to know. Okay. And that's what she said, that I don't see people coming. And there she just went to the other place where the Santal people were there. So definitely this is very unprecedented and this is rarest of rare, and it has really hurt the president, and it is very embarrassing for the government.
Okay, Kamalika, Payal, thank you so much for joining us. Bharatiya Janata Party is extremely critical. Let's listen into what Shehzad Poonawalla has to say on this issue.
आदिवासी समाज का अपमान, राष्ट्रपति पद का अपमान, संविधान का अपमान is TMC's only पहचान. The TMC has insulted the position and the post of the Honorable President, who is the first Adivasi President of this country. They have disrespected the Constitution. The manner in which the government has been lackadaisical and completely wanting in both fulfilling protocol and preparedness for the International Adivasi Conference